And go live. Hello, YouTube. Welcome to Geekery Abides. We're here for episode 12. I almost said 13.
No, that's next time.
Lucky 13. We're here live, ready for episode 12. Let's go ahead and hit the intro before we start the normal introduction stuff like I did last week and had to do it twice. So let's go ahead and, if I can find the intro, hit it.
He who is ashamed of his geekery has forgotten the face of Stan Lee.
This is the podcast, Geekery Abides.
Hello and welcome to Geekery Abides. Here for episode 12 of this first dozen episodes of this podcast.
Yeah.
My name is Tad, and with me as always is Peter. We are here to talk about the Terminator Trilogy, the original 3 movies of the Terminator franchise. I guess technically there's another trilogy and movie, I think. I don't remember. But the first 3 is ones we're talking about. The classic one in 84. Then we have 91 for the T2. And then
2003.
03, 03 for Terminator 3. So let's go ahead and first of all hit our emails. If you want to email us, you can do that. You basically email either of us directly. I'm actually trying to remember. I'm hoping nobody sent an email because I don't think I prepped anything. Let's see. Nope, we're caught up. Good.
Excellent.
Got worried there for a second. But it hasn't been working well on my phone. I need to re-add that email to my phone. So we are doing the Terminator franchise. Let's go ahead and throw out the emails. So Peter at geekeryabides.com or Tad, T-A-D-D, at geekeryabides.com. We alternate on these shows. Peter today is producing this episode. I produce the odd ones. Peter does even. So if you have feedback on a show or you have recommendations for a show or the upcoming show that's on the next week is something you want to chime in on, email either one of us directly. So like next week, if you wanted to email about that episode, you'd shoot an email over to me. But that is that. Let's go ahead and jump on over to what have you been watching, reading, playing?
Well, you go first this time. I always go first.
Yeah?
You go first. Go ahead.
All right.
What are you doing?
Been watching a lot. So, Secret Invasion on television, or streaming, I suppose.
Yep.
Watching that for the Marvel side. Also, I finished The Wire. So I am now jumping over to the show called We Own This City.
Okay.
It is by the same creator of The Wire. It is also set in Baltimore. Basically, it was after the Freddie Gray murder, and they decided they wanted to make another show to relook at Baltimore in light of that. So that's what the show's about. It's got John Bernthal in it. Is one of the lead characters there. So definitely a good show so far. Frustrating in a lot of ways, but good. And then also watching My Adventures with Superman, a new cartoon that they just started, first Superman solo cartoon in a long time. Enjoying it a lot. Jack Quaid plays Clark, which Jack Quaid is probably most famous for The Boys. It's probably his biggest role. He's been in a few other things. Scream, he was the boyfriend in the second to last Scream movie.
No, okay.
Wasn't it? It wasn't the last one for sure. It was the one before that. Yeah, so 2 Scream. The one that was just titled Scream.
He's also in The Hunger Games. He's a big actor.
Oh,
in the Hunger
I have never
Games.
watched those.
Yeah.
That's good to know. And then in the last 7 days, I have watched all Mission Impossible films, including the new one in theaters last night. So a lot of watching.
He's also in Oppenheimer.
Yes.
And Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
There is a shitload of people in Oppenheimer.
And Batman The Long Halloween, Part 1 and Part 2.
Who's he playing Batman?
Albert Falcone.
Oh, okay.
Alberto Falcone. Sorry.
Okay. And then reading, I'm still reading The Stand. And then playing, I haven't touched a lot of video games recently, but I am still in the middle of Red Dead 2 as well as the Mortuary Assistant, the horror game. We talked about that already, right?
No, you bought it in between episodes.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, this is a horror game where you're a new young mortician's assistant that is hired at this place, and you have to do all the fun stuff with the bodies. But the whole gist of the game is there is a demonic possession happening.
Yeah.
And I'm very early into it, but so far it is very, very, very intense.
Yeah.
At one point, I was sticking some staples into a body to like something in the mouth or whatever. I think sewing the stuff closed in the mouth, and then it flashes black, and then it comes back on, and you're like a few steps away from the table, and the body's sitting up.
Yeah.
So it's pretty sweet horror stuff.
Pretty great. Some horror stuff.
Oh
for
yeah,
you.
it's good so far. I'm enjoying it. Very very intense. There's a setting for the. Something like it was like the how aggressive are the haunts, and it was like set at like 30%. I turned it up to 100.
Oh, good lord!
Well, I'm not here to fuck around. We're dealing with demonic possessions. Let's fucking go for it, man.
Yeah.
I don't want a low budget horror movie. I want the full $100 million budget to.
You want The Conjuring, not Blair Witch Project.
Yeah, exactly. So that's mine. What do you got going? And also in the chat, if you want to chime in what you're watching, reading, playing, you can do that as well.
Absolutely.
What do you got?
So I forgot to watch Secret Invasion.
I didn't tell you. I watched it last night.
Oh, did you really?
After Mission Impossible.
Oh.
I came home and watched it because there was no time. Like I was in a time crunch because I'd watched 3 Mission Impossibles last week. So this weekend I had Friday morning and then Friday afternoon to watch the other 3 to be caught up for the new movie last night that we went and saw.
Yeah.
So every time I was like, I need to watch Secret Invasion, but I can't. I don't have time.
Yeah.
I was like, if I had time between the last Mission Impossible and our showtime, I would have watched it then. But it was like close. I think it would have been like less than 10 minutes that left me. So I'm like, no, I'll do it after. So
even though the theater's like right there, you still need some time to get over there, get your popcorn.
Yeah, exactly.
The lady at the theater last night, she overfilled your popcorn. You're spilling it everywhere.
I know. I mean, she had it probably like this much above the brim.
Do you want to know?
Like, and it was like up to a point. It was crazy. I've never seen popcorn that.
Do you want to know the funny thing? You're going to get a kick out of this because you're evil. The guy who does you scan the tickets with it, like
ticket
that.
Taker.
The manager literally came over and asked him to sweep up the lobby 2 minutes before you showed up with your mound of popcorn.
It's not my fault. I didn't fill up my goddamn popcorn that
he
full.
He came over and swept everything up, and then you walked over and everywhere.
Yeah, I thought about it when she's filling. I'm like, good God, man, she's going nuts. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's crazy.
So I forgot to watch Secret Invasion. My wife and I have been watching Futurama. They got a new season. It's coming back again on Hulu. So
I always thought I should maybe revisit that. I tried to watch it when it first came out, and it just wasn't The Simpsons, so I washed my hands of it. And I've heard a lot of people say it's really good.
I think you'd get a kick
I think I've got the maturity now to not go in expecting
The Simpsons.
The original early first 12 seasons of Simpsons level stuff. So I should probably, and I'm a sci-fi fan, so it seems pretty no nonsense.
It's also got one of the most heartbreaking episodes.
Oh yeah, that dog. I know. I've seen the highlights.
Yeah.
I use it on occasion.
You do.
I'll just get a picture of it and send it to people I know have watched Futurama.
No, I just messed up by telling you that we have.
Excellent.
This is not safe.
Excellent.
And then obviously, like Tad said, we went and saw Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. I listened to The Road by Cormac McCarthy.
Oh yeah.
This last
What'd
week.
you think? I've heard his writing style is something else.
It was really good, really dark, awesome story, awesome premise, and everything like that. I want to watch the movie.
Yeah.
I'm debating on if I'm going to watch that tomorrow. It's got Viggo Mortensen in it. Can't remember where it's streaming, but it's streaming somewhere, so I don't even have to buy it or anything. So I'm thinking about watching that. First off, I love Viggo. I think Viggo's fantastic. I know I had him pegged for a little bit where I wanted him to play Roland in the Dark Tower for us, big Dark Tower fans and everything. And then after I finished that, I decided to jump back into Stephen King, so I'm reading a novella collection. Full Dark, No Stars has 1922 in it. I'm still on that one.
Yeah.
The story just took it through Utah. What is it with Stephen King and having characters go through Utah, but not in Utah?
Because he lived in Colorado for a while.
It's just like we go through it. Like we're going somewhere else. Just go through Utah.
Yeah. We were ground zero for the stand.
Yeah.
Right in between the two states.
Yeah.
Not that anything
No,
happens
we were
there,
we were the no man's land.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
plenty happens in Utah.
Well, I
on the
mean,
stand.
it's not like the battles happen.
Yeah,
Like there's
exactly.
no nuclear bombs or any
Yeah.
battles happening. But
And then I'm just playing 7 Days to Die. I haven't stopped. I love that game so much. So
yeah.
yeah, that's what I've been up to.
Carol says, Strange New Worlds for watching. I have not. I'm still like midway through season 1. Not that it's bad. I keep losing sight of it, but I've been enjoying the first season. I only started it probably a month or two ago. So I do need to catch up with that and then get into the new season. I'm a huge Trek fan. So
You also haven't rewatched Rebels, and Ahsoka comes out in less than a
I don't
month.
know if I'll be able to at this point.
Dude, that's a mistake.
I know, but I don't know. Maybe we'll see. I did just watch 6 Mission Impossibles in like
And
a
you
week.
watched, what, 5 seasons of The Wire
Yeah, it's
in like a month and a half?
that's
Come
so
on.
addicting, man.
Dude, it's Rebels. It's so good.
And then Carol says reading Fairy Tale and then watch people playing Jump King. Is Jump King that one that all the people are going crazy about?
That's always up.
Okay. Yeah, I've been watching some reaction videos of people that are like 20-something hours in and then they fall and they I saw one dude that was a streamer, he wrecked his entire thing. Flipped his desk, knocked his monitor down, like he was so mad. And then Carol also says watching Secret Invasion. Mike says reading Heir to the Empire trilogy, so the Thrawn trilogy.
Hey, coming up.
From
the Ahsoka's coming up.
Yeah, from the Legends. Watching Star Wars Rebels, but not really doing either. Worked 65 hours this week. And then the Thrawn trilogy. And then he says it is Thrawn and Boba Fett are my 2 favorite Star Wars characters. That's a respectable couple characters. I don't know if I can get it on camera or not, but I do have.
Let me see how it looks.
I do have my Boba Fett symbol from when I got it, like
What's it called?
19 years ago.
Mythosaurus?
Now it's a Mythosaurus skull, but back when I got it, it was literally a thing that was on Boba Fett's armor. Since then, the Clone Wars and the Mandalorian have now completely changed its meaning and as well as made it such a wider thing, which I'm not opposed to, but it is no longer as much of an obscure tattoo as it used to be. But yes, I'm a huge Boba Fett fan as
You
well.
get comments on it now.
Yeah, I do indeed. So that is let's see if did I catch up on everything. Carol all says the first episode of Futurama dropped. I'm on it.
That is
and then
let me correct that. It drops on July 23rd.
oh, okay.
It has not dropped yet.
So
We
not
are prepping for that.
Oh,
Is
okay.
what I was meaning.
And then some Ahsoka talk there as well. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Let's see. All right, so let's jump on over to the news. First one, bad news. SAG-AFTRA is
yeah.
on strike.
Yep.
So that means that movie and televisions have completely ground to a halt.
Yep.
You can stockpile scripts and prep for a strike, but when your actors go on strike, not only can you not film anymore, but also I did see a unnamed executive saying that this will likely completely kill the festival season this upcoming year because
man.
nobody will debut in their film at a festival if you don't have any actors to do the press for it, because that is just as big a part as doing the movie itself, and that is indeed part of the strike is that they will not do any promotional work for any movies, so or television, anything. So that I wanted to mention that up front because obviously everything that we cover from here on has to be looked at in light of this new strike. And this is the first time both the writers and actors have been on strike at the same time since 1960. So it's been a while. So yes.
63 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Dang.
And then Mike is asking after, and I actually looked that up because I was never sure. SAG-AFTRA. Let me pull it up again to see what it stands for. Screen Actors Guild and American Federation of Television and Radio Artists is what AFTRA stands for. So I don't know if that means voice actors. I don't know how that works union-wise, but because I mean, even animated animation, the writers are not under the WGA, so they're not writers as far as the Writers Guild is concerned.
I just Googled are voice actors in SAG, SAG, and it says yes, voice actors are part of SAG, AFTRA.
Okay.
So they are a part of the strike as well.
So yes, Mike, that does sound like no voice acting as well.
Does that go into video games then too? That would be considered voice acting, right?
I don't know. The union stuff gets kind of strange where it doesn't apply. Like I said, if you would have asked me, like, hey, does the Simpsons writer, are they in the Writers Guild? I would have said yes, but no, or I think they get pretty good treatment,
Yeah.
but most other animated shows, they're not part of the Writers Guild, so it's kind of weird. So again, everything is dependent on that now. Everything we're going to cover going forward, such as the first one here, we do have the first look at Deadpool.
Oh yeah,
So I'll go ahead and throw this up on the screen here.
dude,
Just hook it to my veins!
dude,
Isn't it wonderful?
dude, the yellow suit. I mean, Deadpool looks great like always, like he has in the last 2 films and everything like that.
Yeah.
But to see Hugh Jackman in the yellow spandex.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
It's a glorious, glorious thing. It really is.
Yeah.
So yes, incredible. We already knew that Hugh Jackman was returning, but to know that he will be at least at a certain point, I don't know if he'll be doing the whole movie, but at least a certain point he will be donning the classic Wolverine costume.
That looks great.
Is really exciting. So yeah, really, really stoked on that. Let me go ahead and switch this screen over because I need to find another picture. I don't think it's actually lined up, and it is not. One other thing I found picture-wise for Deadpool,
Okay.
very, very intriguing. You can see Wolverine on the far right of the screen. But look up that.
The 20th Century Fox.
I don't know how meta we are getting in this movie.
Dude, if it's anything with Ryan Reynolds playing Deadpool, it's going to be meta as fuck.
But they literally are standing in front of a broken down 20th Century Fox thing.
Dude,
So,
watch him just be Wolverine in the costume, only in the opening credits scene.
I actually did see somebody on Twitter that was speculating, what if Wolverine in the yellow suit is being pulled from the upcoming animated series?
Oh. Yeah.
Like what if it's like almost multiversey?
Yeah.
And like
Deadpool reaches in and just grabs him
and he pulls him into live action, but he's wearing the yellow suit because it's literally the cartoon, like 1990s. Because there's a new one coming out, right? The revision.
X-Men 97 is what they're calling
Yeah,
it, right?
X-Men. I think it's what it's called. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was just speculation I saw on Twitter, but either way,
Yeah, Mike, good call. Crashed rocket in the foreground there. That light right there.
yeah, indeed. But the 20th Century Fox thing that drew my mind because I was like, wait, what? We're seeing the logo of the film studio in the movie?
Deadpool and Deadpool 2 have had pretty interesting title sequences to begin with.
It's true. So I have no idea what to expect with this movie at all.
This also could be the end credits,
Yeah, so I don't know what it is. But that's our first look at Deadpool 3. Really excited. No idea what the fuck we're in for. I really don't.
I am so excited to see this film.
Yeah, me too. Speaking of Deadpool, we also have a confirmation that Jennifer Garner will be reprising her role as Elektra in Deadpool 3.
Oh.
So
Ben Affleck
again,
as Daredevil.
making it very interesting what we are going to see. What the hell is this movie going to be? Jennifer Garner last portrayed Elektra 20 years ago in the Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck, as you just mentioned.
She also did the Elektra movie.
I suppose we can say that exists. I was going far enough to admit that Daredevil movie exists, but yeah. So that's
Elektra came out in 2005, sir. So.
Oh yeah, but no, 2003 for Daredevil though.
No,
So,
yes. I'm just letting you know that yes, she has played Elektra twice.
Also, the other big thing, and this one's a rumor. Apparently, the first Deadpool 3 trailer, or probably teaser trailer, will be hitting in December. So
that's a long ways away, Ted.
It is, but as fast as things are going,
I know, right? It's July already. Mid-July, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, where is this month going?
Yeah.
Like, I blinked, and I'm like, I know I took, like, a little bit of time off
it was like,
work
it was like
last week.
snowing, and then suddenly it's like 100 degrees, and Oppenheimer comes out in 5 days or whatever. So
Yeah, you think it's hot here. Think about how hot it is there in Oppenheimer.
Yeah, in Los Alamos.
Yeah, it gets a little hot there.
Especially one point in 1945. It got really hot.
Yeah.
Okay, and then next up, we have something very similar, but not entirely. There was news. James Mangold said that he had actually planned an X-23 movie that was going to follow up Logan, but Disney killed it.
Oh, interesting.
So we had X-23 in the Logan movie, and it sounds like Mangold had intended on following her up with her own film. But yeah, the mouse killed that one. So
Sounds about right.
That's unfortunate because that would have
Yeah.
been pretty cool.
She did great in that.
She did. She
Yeah.
did a really good job. So anything I'm missing in the chat here? It seems like a lot.
Mike said Ryan Reynolds has been nailing it for a while. I love Welcome to Wrexham. It's where he buys the soccer team
Yeah.
and everything like that. My wife has shown up. She says she loves Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds. So she has a wheel right now of Ryan Reynolds when she doesn't know what to watch. She's spinning it and just watching.
Have you guys
all of
watched
his
that video
film.
game one yet?
Free Guy?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
We saw that was it came out on Disney Plus and HBO Max on the same day.
Oh, okay.
It's just
Yeah.
weird. There's been a couple movies like that now where it releases on a couple different streaming services, and it's just unusual for us. But yeah, we watched it.
Yeah, that's
Fantastic.
it's a good one. The other one,
apparently she's watched it multiple times.
I know
too.
it's not Ryan Reynolds, but the other one you need to watch is that Nicolas Cage, Pedro Pascal.
I know. We keep talking about it. We need to watch it, and we just never do.
It's really funny. So this next one, I swear to God, this is real.
Okay.
Blumhouse is developing a Magic 8-Ball movie. Let me repeat that. Blumhouse, which is
Horror
pretty
films.
well known for doing really good horror movies,
Yeah.
is developing a Magic 8-Ball movie. I don't know. There's always been jokes like in the screenwriting realm. There's allegedly this legendary script for Stretch Armstrong. That kind of the joke used to be is if you're a professional screenwriter, you spent at least 6 months working on that because like the studio would hire you and you'd work on it. And it's just been kind of in like this developmental hell for like 25 years because how the fuck do you make a Stretch Armstrong movie? At least Stretch Armstrong has a face and you could like make him like, I guess this could just be like a haunted thing where like,
Yeah,
maybe,
like a haunted Ouija board. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, they made a movie, Ouija.
Yeah, they did.
so-
And the second one, Mike Flanagan directed.
Ouija board 2.
The Ouija, whatever the fuck the subtitle was.
Yeah.
But yeah, I almost bought that over the holiday, or over the, not holiday, Prime Day. I was looking at movies and there was the Ouija.
It's a holiday.
Ouija came up, yeah, because Optimus Prime gave his life to save our souls.
Absolutely.
So I was looking at it and Ouija was on there. I was like, oh, should I buy this?
Whoa.
And I stopped and I went over. I'm like, wait a minute, though. Is this the Mike Flanagan one? I went and looked it up. It wasn't. It was the original by somebody else. I'm like, I am not interested in that. I'm only interested in the Mike Flanagan movie.
My wife says you ask it a question and then get cursed.
I mean, maybe.
Mike says it's cursed like a clapping monkey.
Yes.
No.
Jolly chimp.
No.
Just wait till you find the one that's in this room. Oh, next up.
The fuck did you just say?
James Gunn has confirmed he is skipping the origin story for Superman Legacy.
Thank God.
I know. And yeah, I am so happy to hear this, man. The only thing I'm more sick of would be the Wayne
The Bruce Wayne
murders.
Yeah.
I mean, and Uncle Ben is a little bit further down the list because I've only seen that twice.
We did get away from that with the MCU. We never saw that in the MCU.
Exactly. So he was asked if he'd be adapting All-Star Superman, including its opening pages, which covers very briefly the origins. And he skeets, which will have to be a new term because now we have Blue Sky, which is the alternate to Twitter, and that is Blue Sky. And so they mix Sky and Tweet with Skeet to make that's what you when you post on Blue Sky.
What the fuck is all this? I'm like, you kids get off my lawn at this point. Like, what is this? And then we got threads over here and everything like that. Like,
yeah,
what
so
the hell?
so he skeeted.
Oh, fuck.
I think he says I think we've done his origin story enough in film at this time. So that was his
Thank God.
thing, as well as a young actor, a young boy, offered himself up to play young Clark Kent, and Gunn replied and said that there will be no young Clark Kent in this movie.
Good.
So, yes.
Everyone in the chat saying that. Carol says skip it because no one needs to see that again. My wife says yes. Superman, Batman, Spider-Man origin stories don't ever need to be shown again.
Yeah, exactly. I
They
mean,
don't.
come on.
They don't.
Come on. Yeah, we're done with
We
that.
know it.
Yeah,
Thank
and yeah, exactly. So
No, Blue Beetle. See, this is the topic that we needed to cover real fast.
I would even say there, though, because so many of the origin stories are so similar, I would say for most of them, you either need to get really creative with doing origin stories or stop doing them.
Yeah.
Because, like, it just feels like they're all
it's
the same
very
movie.
repetitive.
Yeah, they're all the same movie, and it's just... Because I worried about that a tiny bit when I was watching the Blue Beetle trailer, where I'm like, I really hope this isn't just straight origins. Or if it is, like, the only thing I'm giving it some credit for is with the way the trailer plays, it feels like it might be very, like, emotional, driven with his family and stuff.
Yes.
And so if they can, like, augment the normal origin story superhero shit to make it really like emotional and like whatever, then great, they'll have a winner there.
Yeah, because usually you keep it from your family. Peter Parker keeps it from his family.
Most of
Bruce
them
Wayne
do.
does it by himself.
Well, he doesn't have a family. You cannot lob slow fastballs over the plate, sir, and expect
You're
me.
not wrong, Walter. You're just an asshole.
Oh,
Shame.
3 buttons in a row there.
Shame.
And I stopped you dead in your tracks, too. But yeah, no, because it also looked like, I don't know, just that last full trailer, it looks like
Yeah.
they might lean into some of like the familial relationships
Target the family and stuff like
so
that. Yeah.
I'm hoping that, because again, the straight, just whatever, like cookie cutter, it's almost as bad as musical biopics. Like, those are so cookie cutter at this point, it's like, they're all the same movie. Like, so why fucking make them at this point?
Mike says, really, I don't need 2 hours of any superhero villain origin story. I've seen enough Marvel DC movies to read between the lines.
Yeah.
Like we get it. You had a
Yeah.
traumatic father who abused you, and you had a traumatic experience with a lion, and now you're a hunter, and oh, wait, that's the movie they're making.
You know what I've been thinking recently, and I've said it for years? You know what they should do is cross-pollinate with the actual fucking comic books, get some writers to make some like origins comics that people could read before the movie. Now you're cross-pollinating and helping the comic industry,
Bump those cells up.
and you have like that. This is your lead into it. Like, and tell people up front, like, have it in the fucking trailers. Like, read these 2 comics, get it at your local comic shop. Read these to prep for the movie. Like,
Read these for Blue Beetle coming out next month.
Exactly.
Imagine
Exactly.
how fast those would sell.
yeah, exactly.
They would. I'll tell you right now. I'd probably buy them.
Yeah, I probably would too. So next up, we have Superman Legacy has added 4 people to its cast.
Okay. We got Lois Lane and Superman last time.
Got them already. We've got Nathan Fillion.
Yes!
From Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and Slither. We'll be playing the Green Lantern.
Okay. I don't know if that's you doing it or them doing that, but how fucking dare they if they did that? That is not what Nathan Fillion is known for. He is known for Firefly, and always and forever will be known for Firefly. How dare they?
That was me.
You motherfucker! You son of a bitch.
That was me.
shame.
Because Guardians 3 and Slither both got an end, so.
Oh, you were on one today, Tad. You were on one.
I am. So he will be playing Green Lantern Guy Gardner.
He's voice acted.
So
Done
he is-
some Green Lantern.
No, but it's not Hal Jordan.
Yeah.
It's not like the core whatever.
Yeah.
That's the key thing to say is it's Guy Gardner, which is apparently very different than most other
Oh, okay.
Green Lanterns. So,
But he has played a Lantern before, so that's interesting.
and then we have Isabella Merced, and she was I think she played Dora and the Lost City of Gold.
Okay.
She will be playing Hawk Girl.
Okay.
So yeah, some names pretty familiar with.
So we're getting some Justice League going on here. In
I know.
Superman.
I'm very intrigued because we're talking Superman early in his career, so it's interesting.
Where's my Batman?
We got Edie Gathega, and he was in X-Men First Class. He played Darwin, the one that like kept evolving. Black guy, young guy, Darwin. Like no matter what they did, like he would like adapt, and so
Like you threw him in water and he was able to
he grew
evolve
gills.
Yeah. Okay.
it was him.
Okay.
He will be playing Mr. Terrific.
Oh, he's from Arrow.
He's used.
Yeah,
him
he
there.
was in Arrow.
And then from the guy, this guy was pretty famous in Barry recently. Anthony Kerrigan is playing Metamorpho.
I know that name.
So
Why do I know that name?
Again, kind of an eclectic collection of people here. I don't know what the fuck movie we're in for, but I am intrigued. So yeah, very very interesting. Adding to Superman. Let's go ahead and jump on to the next thing. Ahsoka will be debuting on August 23rd, 2023, and it will be debuting with 2 episodes. So
Just took it to my veins.
that's some good
That new
news.
trailer they released is bomb.
It's so fucking good.
Oh,
It's so good, man.
dude, huge plot point revealed in the trailer. We talked a little bit
We
about
saw
it.
everyone but Zeb, right?
No Zeb, but we
Rebel
saw
was?
him already in
Well, we maybe saw him.
no, that was Zeb. They confirmed it in the credits.
Or that's true. That's
It
true.
said
yeah.
you're the one that
That's
pointed that
true.
out to me.
That's
So
true.
that was Zeb.
You're right, yeah.
In Mandalorian season 3 when he goes to the
In the bar.
bar. That is
Yeah.
Zeb. So we know Zeb's not with them
Yeah.
and everything, but we saw Chopper.
Yeah.
He looks
That
good.
little mass murderer.
Little homicidal motherfucker.
And Hera, my girl. Can't wait to
Sabine,
see.
my girl.
Can't wait to see her in live action. I mean, of course, Ahsoka's. Everyone loves
Dude.
Ahsoka.
Dude, yeah. Ahsoka's amazing.
Yeah,
So-
I can't wait. And 2 episodes to start. Fuck yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, next one. Apparently, this I didn't know this was even in works, but Craig Mazin, famous for Chernobyl and
The Last of Us.
The Last of Us. Apparently, he was somewhat involved with upcoming Borderlands movie, but that is no longer the case. He has had his name removed from the project, so that's probably not a good sign. I don't know if it's because he's busy. I don't know what, but that's. I think it's Eli Roth involved with it too. So it's not that it has no names involved. But yeah, that's something else.
Yes, my wife. We have talked about the Borderlands movie. Jack Black is playing Claptrap.
I didn't know there was going to be a Borderlands movie. That
You
was
have been told this.
that was
you know?
that was my learning of the fact there was a Borderlands movie.
Here's the thing. I know that she knows this too because her favorite streamer has even talked about it. That he will even go see it, but he has no high hopes. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
So we also had a shitload of trailers drop in the last
Dude,
week.
yeah, what was that?
I think I only got a couple of them down. I probably missed some. The big one, Ridley Scott's Napoleon.
Dude,
With Joaquin Phoenix playing Napoleon.
looks great.
That looks pretty fucking great. Blue Beetle, we already talked a little bit about that. Not teaser, but they put out a full trailer for it.
Ahsoka also had
That's one that
theirs.
kind of showed his family stuff a little bit
a
more.
lot more. Like they had
Yeah.
a little bit in the teaser,
A bit.
but it was a lot more heavy in this trailer. And like
Yeah.
even you get 2 villains saying target the family,
Yeah.
take his family out, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
we also got the Ahsoka trailer, which
Yep.
we've already alluded to. And also my boy Grand Admiral Thrawn.
dude, looks so
He
good,
looks so good, dude.
so good.
Oh man, I cannot wait. Yeah, I can't. So we could probably do a full episode just nerding out on that trailer, like frame by frame. We could probably do that. Then also a Twisted Metal, which I have not watched that trailer
God
yet.
damn it, Tad.
Grew up playing those games, but I have not watched the trailer. I saw like that little teaser, which I was like, "What the fuck is this show going to be?" Apparently, that's what they're going for, though. So I need to watch the trailer. The other one I haven't watched the trailer for is Wonka, which also came out with Timothée Chalamet. I believe there's some other trailers, but those are the ones I have recorded that I could remember and find headlines for.
Yeah.
If there were more, I don't know what they all were, but feels like there was like a lot of trailers that just came out in the last little bit. So, yeah. Good stuff. Next one. This is coming right out of the surprise realm. James Cameron is saying that there is going to be multiple Alita Battle Angels sequels. He says there's
Really?
multiple sequels being planned for that. That one didn't necessarily bomb, but it didn't do hugely great.
Yeah.
I actually really enjoyed the fuck out of the movie. Apparently at one point Cameron, he wanted to direct it himself, but with the Avatar stuff he just doesn't have time.
Spielberg did it, didn't he?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, he had somebody else do it, but
I
he's
don't know why, but I thought
he's-
Spielberg was involved with
He's
that.
he was heavily involved. He produced it and stuff. I really enjoyed the hell out of it. I would love more, but I had no hope that it would happen. But if James Cameron gets his way, it sounds like more are coming. So that's exciting.
Cool. I never saw that one.
Next up, one for you. Danny DeVito says he is open to returning as Penguin.
Yes. Yes.
And I actually have some quotes here, and this is for the DC multiverse if they would want. He says, quote, "I would definitely consider doing it. Yeah, Batman Returns was a great part. It was operatic." He says you could just pull out all the stops. There were so many motivating things, so many things churning up inside of him. Being the odd man out, the odd bird out, brought the character out of me. It was an emotional experience for me because I felt it was an opportunity of a lifetime to play Oswald Cobblepot with Tim's vision and design. Tim is a genius to me. And I don't think many of us would disagree with that assessment. He also went on to say, I feel like it's not out of the question that the Penguin would return someday, but it's all up to Tim and whether or not Tim would want to do this. I would say that it could be in the cards because we ain't dead yet. And then he laughs. He says we could do a continuation of where we had in the past because that was a truly brilliant movie. They afforded me the opportunity, and I feel grateful, and I would like to revisit it. Why not? It was a really great moment in time for me. And then he goes on the last bit here and says, there is a little Oswald in me, and then there's a little Danny. It's not a closed book. I'm pretty much an open book. So,
Dude, okay. You sent me this reel the other day on Instagram where it's just 2 guys on a podcast talking about Warner Brothers. You want to make $1 billion? Just make Batman the animated series and Superman the animated series. Take the storylines from there and make movies.
Make it live action.
Or just make a live action TV show. Stream it on Max. You'll fucking make money. And I messaged you back and said I'd watch it 5 times.
Yeah.
Like I would. Give me Danny DeVito playing the Penguin from the animated series. Give me Mr. Freeze and all that. Dude, sign me up.
Yeah. Plus,
do it.
Let's see him bite some noses.
Do it.
Let's see him bite some noses.
French flipper trick.
That may or may not be on the slides.
Oh no!
No, look at the slide.
Is it really?
No. Look at the slide on you, like for our stream right now.
He wants to show you his French flipper trick. Oh.
And then Carol says, "I feel I need to watch Heir to the Empire to prep," and she meant read in prep for Ahsoka. And Carol, Mike's right; they're legends now, so it's not canon. I think they might take some elements from it, but I don't think it'd be necessary to read because I think they're going to do their own thing.
There is a huge plot in that is not possible now.
There's a lot that's not possible.
Almost everything in that book is not possible with what is officially canon. So
it's
a great read. It's a fantastic story by Timothy Zahn. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And then
I will say he's
the duology.
I think he's written 3 Thrawn novels in canon now in the last 5 to 7 years. So
you had me pick one up and I listened to it.
Those are all pretty good. So I'd recommend those. They're building into the actual universe. They're maybe not as good as Heir to the Empire, the Thrawn trilogy, but honestly, what is? Especially for the time and place that those came out. Next up, we have the Coen brothers are back together and developing a new film.
Oh God.
So really looking forward to that.
You don't know any other details?
No, they just. Oh, damn it. I mean, the one was on his own there, doing some stuff with his wife,
okay,
Frances McDormand, and I don't know. It just seemed like it was the first time we'd ever seen them not work together. But it sounds like they are back together, and I just picture what was it? Like Power Rangers as the things come together to create the Megazord. Like that's bring the Coen brothers back together, get Stephen Root in there, whoever else you want to pull in, because he's probably one of their most regular people. But John Goodman.
I just picture from Supernatural, because it's 2 brothers in it. There's Sammy, let's go make some movies.
Seriously, man. And honestly, whatever they make is always usually pretty great. So let me get the slide prepped for. I also wanted to. I actually did throw a slide on here that we mentioned last week. I couldn't get it to pull up. We were talking about Alien and the reaction picture, and it's this one. Most of the people are obviously pretty revolted. We were looking at when the chest burster scene happens, but there is my spirit animal in the top left there, guy with the beard that's just smiling. That's if there's reincarnation, I'm guessing that was me at some.
I'm pretty sure that guy in the front right is Hayden's who he reincarnated from. He looks like he's about to yak.
Yeah, exactly. Or the girl with their face covered. If there is reincarnation, maybe Hayden was her beforehand, because Hayden probably was not happy whilst watching that.
No.
Let me go ahead and prep the next and last picture. This one's exciting for me.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit more than even Deadpool. We have our first look at Carl Urban as Johnny Cage.
Oh, Mortal Kombat.
So, yes, Carl Urban there with Ed Boon, the co-creator of Mortal Kombat, the godfather of Mortal Kombat. I'm stoked. I mean he's been wearing a little bit more militaristic uniforms a lot, so you see him a lot in the more modern games where he's wearing more greenish olive clothing like that. So that fits perfectly. He's wearing the sunglasses. I'm pretty fucking excited about
Mike
that.
says great hair. Does that fit the character of Johnny Cage?
Oh, yeah. Now, his hair changes around a bit. You just got to make sure he looks like he's a guy that spends too much time on his
in front of the mirror.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So
not nearly as much time as you spend, though.
Yeah, no. I mean, it takes me 3 hours to get these bangs the way they are.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
But yeah, I'm super excited.
By the way, anyone listening to the audio podcast, Tad is bald. Just so you're aware.
Like Lex Luthor dome.
Like.
He's a good man, Lex Luthor.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
Stop it.
President Luthor at certain points, which I've always wondered, how does that affect Batman and all those other people when Lex Luthor becomes president?
Carol asked a very good question for you. Sorry to. I did not listen to that. Is this another reboot or sequel, or
explain
Mortal Kombat?
This is a sequel to the last movie that came out in 2021. So there's a reboot that came out a couple years ago. It was, I don't know. Some people were disappointed by it. I enjoyed it for what it was.
2021.
21. This is the sequel follow-up to it. The big part of the first movie was Johnny Cage was nowhere to be found. He was teased at the very end of the movie that he'd be showing up in the next movie, which is crazy because he's one of the main characters. And then they got Carl Urban, which I'm so fucking excited for.
Yeah.
All right. So one last one here, and then
available on Max.
Then we are going to go to closing arguments because we have moved that to the beginning, so we have time for it because we always run out of time. I forgot to change the slide below for the Carl Urban thing.
Yes.
Next one.
Carl Urban plays Dr. McCoy, Judge Dredd, and now Johnny Cage.
Yeah, and he does incredible at all of them.
And Théomer in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, Faramir. Because
not
Faramir.
Théomer.
No,
Theoden? No.
Éomer.
Éomer.
Yeah. So, because he did Lord of the Rings, and then that was one of his earliest ones. So when they cast him as McCoy, I was like, this is like the worst pick you could possibly do. Then he did McCoy, and he did so great. He was probably one of the best part of those movies.
Yeah. This dude is like a nerd god for us. Like, he just needs to play Master Chief when we're good.
Yeah. Just don't take the helmet off. Next up, Schwarzenegger. I'm sorry. I guess I can change the slides back because there's no picture for this. Schwarzenegger wanted a bloodbath in Terminator 2, apparently.
This goes in with our...
kind of attaches, yeah.
Oh, this is a closing arguments, right?
No, this isn't the closing arguments, not yet.
Okay.
So this is a quote from Schwarzenegger that just came out. It just so happens that it coincides. Literally, I had this in my thing. I found this. I already knew we were doing Terminator, but it was very interesting that this came across. Even if we were doing freaking Pokemon, which would never happen because I don't like that nonsense. No, I won't call it nonsense. It was just I was too old for it. Even if we were doing anything else, we would be covering this because Arnold just did an interview. And it's very interesting. It's very telling about the behind the scenes. He's, quote, the reason why it became a big hit was, number one, Jim Cameron. Jim Cameron is a genius writer. He came up with this brilliant idea, even though at the beginning I was suspicious. He says, I want to make you a good Terminator. Arnold wasn't super into that. He says, what do you mean a good Terminator? He says, I killed 68 people in the first one. In the second one, I want to kill 150. He says, he says, we have to go up. He says, cut their throats, shoot them with a cannon, and run them over with a car. He says, and then he says, I had to outdo Stallone. So I think Stallone had just had some Rambo movie where he had the highest body count. And the thing is, I think a lot, because they're friendly now, but I think a lot of people don't realize these two people hated each other. He and Stallone were like fucking absolute, like they did not like each other. If they ran into each other, it may have gone to blows. They hate each other. Each one would want to outdo the other. Like, I've even seen things where they would like, one would audition for a movie he knew would be shitty to bamboozle the other one into auditioning and getting the part because he knew it would hurt their career.
Something Cobra, right? For Stallone.
No, Cobra wasn't a bad one.
Oh, okay.
But their hatred in the 80s was bad. So he says he wanted to outdo Stallone. And then he goes on the quote here and says, I said that my whole mission was being number one at killing amounts of people on screen. And then the last part of the quote here, he said, Arnold says, Arnold, stop it. You're a very sick guy. Which is awesome. He says, I'm going to make sure that in Terminator 2, you're not going to kill one single person, Schwarzenegger recalled. Then he goes on and says, I said, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. How can this be Terminator 2 without me killing anyone? At least throw a few token bodies in there. So, and to his defense, I have long said, as a very, very, very hardcore fan of that movie, I believe that Terminator should have killed in those early scenes before John swears him to not killing anyone, like the bar scene. I think he should have killed some people in that, because why would he not? Yeah. Like, it's young John in 1990 that tells him, that swears him not to kill people. Old John in the future doesn't tell him don't kill anyone.
Yeah.
So I that's always bothered me a little bit. Where
maybe it's the difference between drawing heat onto you. That's what they programmed into him, is that if you don't kill anyone, you don't get as much heat from the police.
Yeah, and then Mike mentions John sent him from the future, but I mean, and maybe that's it, but I just don't know why then John would have to order him again as a young John. I don't know. It's just, that's always, and it's not. Like, I think it doesn't ruin the movie. It's just one of those things that's always like slightly bothered me, where it's like I get what they were going for. He's the good guy, but I just like when the first one he rips the dude's fucking heart out. It's one of the first things he does. Like, it's weird to me that he goes to that whole bar scene and everything's non-fatal.
What about this? Is that he doesn't have John to protect at that point? He's not going to get hurt. What's the point of?
But the first one he kills for no reason other than clothes,
right. But he's the Terminator at that point. This one he's a protector. So maybe that's the reason why he doesn't kill anyone in that bar scene. I need your clothes, your boots, the keys to your motorcycle.
Yeah, which was a great reference earlier in the chat too. Was it Mike?
Yeah, I just
Mike.
looked it up, just curious. Rambo 3 came out in 1988. 115 lives on screen taken by Rambo. So him wanting to do 150 was absolutely in correlation to Rambo 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think maybe the only reason he goes to kill the two guys that are Arnold's buddies, the weightlifters, when he's like, let me go, when John's like that, is because now he has John to protect. John's right there.
Could be.
John could be harmed if these threats proceed. So he kills them. He goes to kill them, and that's the reason why John stops him and then orders him, don't kill anyone.
Yeah.
Maybe John sent him from the past with
he
the
tells
order.
him after. It's right before they go to the hospital that he stops him. He's like, put your arm up.
Yeah.
No,
But I think maybe John sent him from the past saying, hey, don't kill anyone unless you're protecting John. Unless you're protecting me.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. So, and then Carol says, "Wow, was that just business movie star thing, or did someone steal someone's girlfriend?" And Mike says they both were action heroes. They probably thought they were stealing each other's box office, and that's really what it came down to.
Literally, you're taking money from me.
It was just a rivalry. It was like sports, but
which is why it was used to see Arnold in The Expendables.
Yeah, and that's where I think where the bridge started to get mended a little bit.
Yeah.
So. All right. So next up, then we got closing arguments, and we'll get into the main topic.
All right.
So I got a closing argument for you.
So I'm doing this one.
Yes. So Dave Filoni sparked a lot of debate online, and I believe that you will disagree with what he said.
You think I'm going to disagree with Dave Filoni?
I do.
All right. This is going to be a tough uphill climb then.
So, and this is just this is where it's like convince me that he's wrong, because I think he will be.
Okay.
He said that Anakin Skywalker is the greatest Jedi of all time. I knew it. Oh man, I knew. Just your reaction to anyone on the podcast. Peter's face was quite startled there.
What?
Yeah, just
Anakin Skywalker is the greatest Jedi of all time.
yeah. So, closing argument.
Okay, so am I supposed to argue that, or am I supposed to agree with it?
No, disprove. I assume
I can
because we don't want to put each other in a spot
Okay.
where closing arguments where you're forcing someone to argue against their beliefs. My belief was your belief would be opposite of what Mr. Filoni said.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
convince me that Filoni
I
is
mean, mass
incorrect.
murdering alone makes it so that he's not the greatest Jedi of all time. The Jedis hold every life is sacred, kind of thing. They'll defend themselves when necessary, which is why your argument about the Jedi being fallen by Episode 3 because they've taken up militaristic goals and stuff like that has a leg to stand on. Like, I've never poo-pooed that, and I've never been like, oh, dude, you're nuts, you're just bad-mouthing the Jedi or anything like that. It's because you have a point. The Jedi's ideology is totally based around being peacekeepers. Episode 1, we see Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan sent on a mission of diplomacy. They're not there like purely for intimidation. I mean, I know that's how it was taken by the Trade Federation, but they were sent to get it done because they knew that they couldn't be bamboozled, threatened, intimidated. They could hold their own because they're Jedi, but they were sent to get the job done because they are the best negotiators that you can send. Oh, Kenobi, the negotiator. There's a reason he has that title. Is because that's what they are supposed to do. So a Jedi's ideology is not mass murder. So if you're going to say that Anakin Skywalker, the murderer, okay, let's cut it off at when he cuts Mace Windu's arm off. Let's say that Execute Order 66 and all of the stuff that comes with Order 66 happens after he turns to Darth Vader, and it's not Anakin anymore. It's Darth Vader. He's been rechristened and all that. Go watch the Clone Wars, man. The dude is a fucking murderer. Like, he murders people, like, straight up. Like, there is good in him, and Luke is right about that. There is good in Anakin. That's absolutely true. But as to say that he is the greatest Jedi? No. You can easily list Jedi that are better than him. Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Qui-Gon Jinn are 3 Jedi that are better than him. Plo Koon, I would say, is a better Jedi than him. His one line in the Clone Wars where they're just like, we're just clones, sir, we're expendable. And he goes, not to me. That's a Jedi. That's a better Jedi than Anakin is. Anakin cares about his clones. I will not take that away from him. He loves his troops, Rex, Cody, all those ones. I know Cody's mostly Obi-Wan, but he works with Cody too. I know that he loves his clones, but not like Plo Koon does. They make it very clear in the Clone Wars that he does. So to say that he's the greatest Jedi to a religion that holds this ideology, and he falls short of it in every aspect of his life, in everything that he does, there is no way that you can call him the greatest Jedi when you can name someone that's better at everything that he does at being a Jedi. And again, this isn't coming down to saying that he is not, he's weak and he's not strong in the Force. No, that's not what we're saying. When you look at the Jedi Code and you look at what the Jedi stand for, Anakin falls short in every aspect of it. He has hardly any compassion. He never cares about others, hardly ever, except for maybe people he works with, like the clones and other Jedi and Padme and stuff like that. But as for like people he's fighting against and the Sith or the Separatists or anyone like that, or anyone that does any little thing against what he thinks is right, cut him down. Ask questions later. Anakin is very much a shoot first, ask questions later kind of guy, and that right there alone proves that he is not the greatest Jedi.
All right, so let me check the old soundboard here, and then I'll explain myself too. But
You're not a real lawyer.
Wow!
What a joke.
Wow!
Okay, there's a couple things that you were latching onto there, like the not killing. But then you think of like Yoda and Obi-Wan just hacking through the clone troopers like crazy. Also, like Episode 3, the very, very beginning, Anakin wants to turn back around to go help the soldiers are getting gunned down.
Sure.
And Obi-Wan tells him no. Like I feel I get Plo Koon, yes, but I think outside of Plo Koon, nobody cares more for like the little guy than Anakin through like
Qui-Gon Jinn.
Well.
You can't convince me that Qui-Gon Jinn's not a better Jedi.
No, it's true, but I think Anakin picks up from where Qui-Gon left off, and I think that, like throughout the Clone Wars, you often see Anakin caring more for people than like sometimes Yoda and Obi-Wan and stuff kind of get into the realm where I think they're just so ivory tower that they overlook like the ground level, and I think that's where Anakin. And I think that's probably where Filoni's come. I don't know. I only found the one quote because all over Twitter people were arguing over it, and all I could find is that singular quote. But I think that so I think that that's kind of like where some of your arguments, that's where like in my mind I see it the opposite way, because I think that I guess you didn't convince me that he didn't care for people, because I really feel that's one of his strongest things. I would cut off that throne or the counts or whatever the fuck you call it, Palpatine's office.
Yeah.
Before that, because going by Lucas's way, that's where it transforms, right?
Yeah.
Yes, he has that ultimate failing, kind of like Luke though. If you said like in the room with Ben, if you counted everything else, like you can't just say that negates everything he ever did. That's where I would say. I just think that like Anakin actually has like more of a heart, whereas Obi-Wan and like Yoda are so ingrained in like the code that when the Jedi starts to like kind of betray, like Anakin bucks the system, whereas they just hold fast to it. And I think really, and Qui-Gon's, I think the perfect thing is like Qui-Gon was the right kind of Jedi, and I think Anakin was the follow-up to that. And he just did, if he had this, because that's why it's like Duel of Fates, right? Because if he had the support of Qui-Gon, he would never would have fallen. They would have been two peas in a pod, and it would have whatever. But I think that he actually carries that Qui-Gon stuff in the Clone Wars and stuff, where I don't know, he cares for the smaller people, the troops, or he worries more about sometimes the people than he does like the mission itself. It's like, yeah, and he is. I would say, yes, there's violence, certainly, but I think all the Jedi have that. The whole Clone Wars, it's like, oh my God,
it's filled with violence. Yeah, absolutely. But the problem I have is that you're saying that Anakin is better when idolizing one of the least Jedis in the history of Star Wars. The truest. You're saying the truest form of Jedi and everything like that, but then you're throwing Master Yoda and Master Obi-Wan Kenobi under the bus for one thing, one scene. You're throwing them under the bus, but you're forgiving Anakin. The slaughter of the Sand People?
No.
That happens well before anything with Padme or anything like that. And you're telling me that Obi-Wan and Anakin fighting to try and save other Jedi who are being massacred, fighting their way to the temple and everything.
It's not just that. It's also just their hardcore holding to like the Jedi nonsense, like dogma. Is why Anakin ends up in those positions. They just constantly tell him, oh, well, just forget everything that you're attached to. Like, and they never like, whereas Qui-Gon would have like gone down to him and said like, let's figure this out. Let's go fucking see if your mom's in trouble. Like Qui-Gon would have done that. And I think that Obi-Wan and Yoda were always just like, nope, the rules say this, so fuck off. Like, just learn to accept your losses when they happen. Like, I just feel like they never had that. Even towards Anakin, they didn't have the compassion to. And I know we're actually breaking the whole premise of closing arguments because now we're debating it. But
yeah, see, this is my problem.
I was
that you have an idea of what a Jedi is, and I feel like that is flawed. And that's the problem why you're saying that I failed, is because you're saying that Obi-Wan and Yoda don't show the perfect tendencies of being a Jedi, and you're saying that Anakin does? You're saying that Anakin's a better Jedi than them.
yeah.
There's no way you can debate that.
Yeah.
I'll take the L. It's your decision and everything like that, but that's wrong.
No,
That's wrong.
No.
There's no way you can say that Anakin is a better Jedi.
The only
Jedi,
yeah,
not Force wielder, not anything else. A Jedi, than Master Yoda.
I think the only one that comes close, the one you would be able to debate, is Qui-Gon.
No,
because the Jedi itself, it's like the whole. Again, you go to the biblical stuff. It's like you have the people that were the high religious folks that were so corrupted that Jesus came in and he's like, dude, you all fucking suck. And because like you guys have polluted everything that this is supposed to be about, and you've made it your own thing. And I think that's what the Jedi had gone to. And I think Qui-Gon and eventually Anakin following up on him are the ones that kind of hold that torch of like whatever. And like Obi-Wan says that, right? Like if you would just quit fucking fighting everything, you'd probably be on the council. And Qui-Gon doesn't say anything to that, but it's like in his head, he's probably just like, I don't want to fucking be on that council. If I have to like fold into their way to get on the council, like doesn't
whose way?
The council's way.
The council of what?
Well, yeah, but the Jedi are following.
Are they?
Yeah.
Are they? Seems like the universe is doing pretty fucking good with them in charge. Until you get an evil, sadistic Sith that comes along and fucking ruins everything.
I don't know.
You want to say if anyone's at fault for how the Jedi Council's acting? How about the fucking Sith Lord manipulating everything behind the scenes right there? But you're going to say that that's Yoda's and Obi-Wan's fault for how the Council's acting.
Well, not Obi-Wan. He's too young when a lot of this is happening.
But you're saying that Anakin's a better Jedi than him. Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're saying Anakin's a better Jedi than him.
Yeah, I think he more fully reflects the Jedi teachings.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
No, name one Jedi teaching that Anakin.
We're going to end up with this the whole episode.
You're debating this.
No, I just wanted to explain to you why I was saying it wasn't convincing to me. Because I mean, if we want to just give the W or L, then just move on. That's fine. But I want to explain it so it doesn't just sound like I'm being Sith and just saying like, Jedi all suck.
It is what you're doing. You're just saying that.
Not at all.
You're just saying that they're not Jedi. They don't know what they're doing. They're fools. And Anakin's a better Jedi than anyone on the council. Any one of those Jedi is not better than Anakin.
Yeah, I agree with Filoni. So I think he is the best Jedi of all time. And if they would have just accepted some of his differences from their normal dogma, I think things would have gone a lot better. And if Qui-Gon would have lived,
that's not the question. That's my problem, is that you're clouding the question with whether or not the Jedi are straying from their own teachings and everything like that, and you're letting your love for the Sith cloud that.
No,
yes,
it has
you
nothing
are.
to do with
yes,
the,
you
no,
are.
it has nothing to do with the Sith. It has
yes,
to do
it
with
does.
has to do with the like just.
So you're telling me that Palpatine being present on Coruscant for all of those years, all of those decades, has nothing to do with how the Jedi are acting?
I mean, late on, but they already started getting tied into the military and like doing things like, hey, we're going to go and freaking resolve this issue and stuff. Like they shouldn't be involved in that. They should
Why?
They should be like freaking monks. There should
Why?
be police
No,
forces.
No, they are not monks. There is nothing ever in Lucas's ideology that the Jedi are monks and isolationists and never get involved in everything. They are peacekeepers. True to the word of peacekeepers, which means that they can go on diplomatic missions to negotiate during just like Trade Federation
during
stuff.
that portion. But what I'm saying is, I'm guessing, and we don't know because Lucas isn't involved. I wish he was, because when they start moving into this High Republic era, it'd be interesting to see what Lucas would see of that, because then we'd be seeing ultimately what did the Jedi look like when Yoda first got recruited.
Yeah.
Does it look the same? And in my opinion, I don't. I think that there's a lot of issues that just corrupted. I think the Order stopped being.
Where do you think those issues started from?
Well, I mean, who knows when it started, but it's not Palpatine.
No, it's not. No, it's not Palpatine. He could never do anything wrong.
No, because it starts before him.
Yeah.
It starts way before him.
Does it?
Oh,
Show
yeah.
me. Where does it say that?
I mean, the fact that Qui-Gon is bucking their whole system because he's like
Qui-Gon's what, 40 years old?
He's like talking about like the living force and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And yeah, I mean, the other thing is we got to figure out canon wise, when does Palpatine actually get on this elected to Naboo?
Yeah.
As well, because
And
we don't
he's
even know how long.
We don't even know if he's hanging around before that as someone else or anything like that, because Palpatine's not even his real name.
Oh, sure it is.
Darth Sidious.
No, that's the fake name.
No.
That's the fake name. All right, so main topic. That went a little. I don't know. Maybe that's why we haven't got. Well, main topic goes a while too. But
Yeah.
All right. This will definitely to be continued. We'll have more conversating on that. Maybe outside of the realm of closing arguments. Maybe we could add that to the list of topics. All right, but it's you now. Main topic.
So we're talking about Terminator 1, 2, and 3. So Terminator 1 comes out in, we mentioned this earlier, 1984. Thank you.
I forgot.
I requested that.
Yeah, I got to start doing that and having a custom button just to lead us into the main topic.
1984, Terminator sees Arnold Schwarzenegger playing a T700?
800.
Hunting Sarah Connor. And you're a huge fan of this series, right?
Yeah.
We're going to try a little something different with the main topic here. We're not just going to kind of go back and forth. I want to interview Tad. Because Tad is a huge fan of the Terminator series. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that would be fair to say.
So Terminator 1 comes out in 1984, year before you're born.
Mm-hmm.
Terminator 2 comes out in 1991, Judgment Day. And Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, comes out in 2003, right when you're in the middle of high school. You graduated in 04. So first question I got to know, I don't think I've ever asked you this either. How did you come to the Terminator franchise?
One of the earliest memories, and I don't even remember if my parents were still married or not, but I remember wanting to go see Terminator 2. I don't know why, but I wanted to go see it. And my parents, and I don't know if they were still married, but I remember them arguing back and forth whether it was appropriate for me to go see it.
Terminator 2.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Obviously, it wouldn't have been the first one.
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
Yeah, 91, I would have been 5 years old. It was a summer blockbuster, so I would have been 5. My dad was my biological dad, adamant, absolutely not. And my mom was like, why not? It's fine. And I didn't know Terminator 1, so it would have been a complete fresh look.
Sure.
But I remember that. I honestly wonder if that when it finally came out on VHS, if my mom just bought it and then watched it then as just kind of a fuck you. I'm not going to take him to this movie, but she's still going to see the movie. Because honestly, I can't remember it's not like Star Wars where I have a distinct memory. Because I remember being in I think it was second grade, dressing up for a Terminator for Halloween. And going to school.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, had a Nerf gun and stuff. So
Before they banned weapons.
yeah, exactly.
What the hell?
I've been a Terminator fan for pretty much as long as I could remember. And like I said, one of my earlier memories, my parents may have even still been married, but yeah, they were arguing over whether I could go see it. Now, as an adult, when I finally got around to watching and appreciating Terminator 1, I could maybe see where the argument came from, because the first one's more of a true horror movie.
Yeah.
I mean, literally,
there was definitely a tonal shift between the first and second
huge,
one, right?
Yeah, huge. Same as Alien. Alien horror movie, then action movie. Those two franchises fit.
Terminator 2 and Aliens was directed by James Cameron. Now, James Cameron did direct the first Terminator, but Ridley Scott did the first Alien. Did the first Alien, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
But very similar. They both shifted tones heavily in the second movie. But yes, I finally ended up seeing it and just obsessed with it. Like I said, I watched the hell out of it. Dressed up as Terminator for Halloween. Just one of my all-time favorite movies for sure. It's yeah. And then I remember renting Terminator 1 as a younger kid, and I just didn't dig it. I think I was
Blockbuster or Hollywood Video. Yeah,
exactly. Because I think I was expecting just another Terminator 2 type movie.
Okay.
And I loved horror movies, but I think just the fact that it was giving me a horror movie when I was expecting what I had been watching with Terminator 2, I was like,
you were in the mood for an action movie, even though you were a kid. You were in the mood for an action movie, and you were a horror film.
Well, and it's because Terminator. When you tell me Terminator, I've seen Terminator 2 100 times. That's what I'm expecting when I go in. And so when I watch this movie, I'm like, what the fuck is this movie?
Yeah, what is
this? I saw it for the longest time. I'd even probably said I didn't really care for the first movie. But then after high school as an adult, I finally watched it again. I was just like, holy shit, this movie's fucking great.
Yeah.
Because again, when you're older, you can look at it without the expectations and be like,
so you didn't come back around until for Terminator 1 until after high school?
Yeah, it was probably after. It was after high school.
After
probably
Terminator 3 then?
Maybe right around Terminator 3.
So
in
maybe
that
around that ballpark.
Somewhere in there.
Maybe Terminator 3 led you back to Terminator.
Could have been, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many of these films have you seen in theaters? There's 6 films total in the series. Obviously, 1 and 2 we know you didn't.
Terminator 3, absolutely. In fact, one of my so we were working at Jubilee. And
grocery store here in Utah.
Our first job, we were both little baggers. Also, if you remember, my cousin Aaron at one point worked there.
I do.
I was working there when I found a magazine and was thumbing through it.
It was a common thing for us on breaks to go up into the break room, and there would be different magazines scattered around.
Because there was no smartphones.
No.
Like,
we're talking like 2001, 2002 here.
Yeah, so I was looking through something, and I read in there Terminator 3 in development. And I ran down the stairs, I found my cousin Aaron over on the milk aisle.
Yeah.
And grabbed him like, dude, they're making another Terminator. Like, just because he was as obsessed as I was. Or I mean, we'd have sleepovers, and if we weren't watching Star Wars, we were watching Terminator 2.
Or horror movies. You guys watched
You
guys were big fans of Halloween, Scream.
We always watched those at night. But like
during the day, you'd watch Terminator then.
Terminator or Star Wars, the original Star Wars trilogy. Okay. So he was a big fan too, and I remember that was a stark memory of like being so excited. Oh my God, they're finally making another, because it was such a huge jump. I mean, 84 to 91, that's not that long, but 91 to 2003, like
12 years.
That's a long time. I'd never thought we'd get another movie. So
you thought it was done.
Yeah, I thought it was over.
Well, it wrapped it up with such a nice, neat bow at the end of Terminator 2. You got the, you know, John is alive and everything like that. Sarah's alive. They've stopped Judgment Day.
Yeah,
everything's destroyed. Both of the Terminators are T-1000 and Arnold are destroyed.
His arm's still in the gears, though.
Yeah,
the one arm, the other arm. So there's still a way for
they were still away.
Him to be reverse engineered.
Cameron did it on purpose. He knew what he was doing. Right? That's what you're saying?
I don't know if he did, but I just
subconsciously.
As a little kid, I remember us nerding out. We're like, "There's still another part." Because, like, I mean, again, I wasn't even as familiar with the first one.
Yeah.
But from the context of the second one, they've got a piece of a chip in the arm.
So the arm obviously seems like it's important.
So it's like cool. They got that from the first one. We deduced that. Yeah. So I remember just being like, that other arm's still in there.
So speaking of arms, let's talk about arms for a second here. One of the things that we know with you is that you collect movies, physical copies of movies.
Yes.
Now behind you can see one shelf behind Ted in the video, which is, I'd say it's probably 6 feet tall, probably about 4 or 5 feet wide, 6 feet wide. Do you remember the dimensions of these?
It's not 6.
Let's call it 6 by 4. And he has 2 of these filled with movies. Now, the thing is that there are some duplicates on here.
Yeah.
There's different versions and everything like that being released. Terminator 2 is one of the most purchased movies that you've ever bought several copies of.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why is because one of them had this in it. And Tad's going to pull up a picture on the slides here.
So I think this is actually the second one. So the second box set that came out, it is, because it's the 4K version.
Yeah.
So the 4K version came out, and it came with a endoskeleton arm.
Which
it's up behind you.
It's right up here in Tad's closet. 4K release of Terminator 2.
Yeah.
And it has the endoskeleton.
There is a company that makes an actual metal.
That's like plastic is what that is?
That's just plastic.
Okay.
Yeah. But there's one that's like legit metal.
Okay.
I'm not going to say how much it is.
I want to know.
Because I might end up buying it.
I want to know. Tell me how much it is, Tad. I'm doing the interview. You have to answer my questions. How much is it?
No comment. No
comment at this time. Interesting.
I think they also actually make it too where it comes with a little chip. So it comes
like
with like a legit metal like chip. So you have basically what John has in his backpack and too. So
now this isn't the only collector's one that you have.
No. So let me go ahead and change it over because it's a different sized picture or shaped. It's weird.
Gotcha.
All right. So then the first one that I bought was this one. Once it pops up on the screen,
it's the head of a Terminator.
Yes, the Terminator head, and this one. Not that I didn't already have, but it basically came with every version that had ever been released from DVD up through Blu-ray at that point. So
of any Terminator 1 through 3?
No, of Terminator 2.
Terminator 2. Okay.
Yeah. So there had been multiple versions with they had different special features, different discs, they had different packaging. Again, I had already bought all of them, so I got nothing new out of this, but still the head was something
amazing.
I must have.
And you have that, and it's up here as well. Oh, no, that's up there on the shelf. So above Tad, you can't see it in the video. Right above Tad on the top of this,
I got some of those like IKEA floating shelves.
Yeah, he has box sets and stuff like that going across the top here, and so the Terminator is sitting right over behind me, right back that way. Let me see if I get my arm in.
He's
in
always
the frame. Yeah, he's over there.
He's
watching.
always watching.
Skynet's always watching.
You know, I will say I used to have not only a Skynet shirt, but my favorite was a Cyberdyne shirt.
Yeah,
because it's a little bit more obscure.
You really like doing that too with that. Like, look at your shirt you're wearing right now. It just says Woodsboro High School Class of '96, which most people would just be like, "Oh, that's the high school that he went to," and everything like that. And everything.
Graduate '96.
No,
though,
but people wouldn't know that.
Yeah,
but,
that's true.
But only people that are fans of Scream would know that that's the high school from Scream, and that's the year that Scream came out.
Indeed.
So
Indeed.
That's one of the things that you've always done is those little subtlety things.
Yeah.
And I've actually taken a lot to that. I have a Wayne Enterprises hat and shirt that I've worn.
And even my tattoo.
Yeah, your tattoo was just a symbol on the arm of Boba Fett. Not even anything big. It's big now.
It is now, yeah.
Yeah.
But like 19 years ago or so when I got the tattoo, it was just like, oh, that's this badass symbol on Boba Fett's armor. Or like it's maybe his house's clan symbol or something. Like,
yeah.
Nobody knew. There's also the round one that's on his chest too. The little round.
Oh yeah,
symbol
right here on his chest plate. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have I came to the series late for me. I didn't get anywhere into Terminator until I was probably in my teens.
Okay. With
my dad had a rated R movie collection because we weren't allowed to watch rated R movies in our house with our religion growing up, and he had Terminator 2 in there. So I think that thinking back to you watching Terminator in high school is accurate because I think we watched it together for my first time. I think that's where I watched Terminator for the first time is when we were in high school and you were getting me into more into the Terminator series, also hyping me up for Terminator 3 that was coming out. So
yeah.
I think that's where that came from.
Yeah.
With that, me always sneaking out rated R movies when my mom wasn't home and my dad wasn't home to be able to watch them. With that, I remember Terminator 2 being one of my go-to movies for that. With that, what is your favorite story from when you were a kid involving the Terminator series?
Oh, you're keying me up here, sir.
I am. It's like I've known you for 20 years conducting this interview,
and you've heard some of these stories. So I don't know how. I guess it was maybe still summer, but happened to be sleeping over with my cousin. Aaron, which I already mentioned before. He's the one that I ran up to and grabbed and shook.
Terminator 3!
We were having a sleepover, and we threw on Terminator 2, as one does.
Yep.
We were watching it, and then when, Sarah Connor says on April 29th, or April 27th, 1997, it's going to be pretty real to you, too. I stopped. My mind drifted out of the movie a little bit. If pausing on VHS was a little bit easier, I may have even paused it, but I didn't. I just let it keep playing. But I thought to myself,
it is the 29th.
29th. Okay, so I was right. See, I shouldn't have second-guessed
Don't doubt yourself, Ted. Don't doubt yourself.
But it dawned on me. It was August 29th.
What year?
It was 1997.
No way.
We were watching it on it. We had no fucking clue. This wasn't like no.
Planned it or anything, like just
Not
happened to
all.
be a
Just-
sleepover.
And we happened to throw Terminator on instead of Halloween or Friday the 13th or Return of the Jedi. We happened to throw Terminator on. Maybe a subconscious. But either way, I stopped the movie, whatever it was I did for the VHS, and I was like, holy shit. What? And I think my brother was there too. I'm like, that's today. I'm like, what do you mean? Because we had already gone past some of the dialogue. They're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, today's August 29th, 1997. I'm like, it's Judgment Day. So we stopped the movie. We ran outside to look
for mushroom clouds.
It's the mind of a child, sir.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I would have been, 11?
No, 97?
97. So I would have turned 12 that year. It's before my birthday.
Yeah.
So, it's like the mind of a child. Went to look for mushroom clouds. So, yes.
Yeah, happy little mushroom clouds in the
Yes.
distance. Not on top of you, but in the distance, obviously.
Oh, I hope so. I mean, if it was on top, there wouldn't have been a time to stop and think at all. It would have just been over. Like Sideshow Mel, or not Sideshow Mel, I'm sorry. Sideshow Bob's brother says, there will be a slight ringing in your ears. Luckily, it'll be nowhere near them.
Yeah. So that's your favorite from the series growing up is that one. Do you remember watching Terminator 3 in theaters for the first time?
Oh, yeah. Opening night.
Got
my parents to take me. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Yep. So I have a fun story to tell everyone on the podcast side. You've heard the story, obviously, about my wife's misconception watching Terminator 1. So we watched. My wife has not watched a lot of the movies that Tad and I are into. I got her big into Star Wars, comic book movies. Obviously, you saw how excited she was with Deadpool in the chat earlier and everything. One of the ones that we decided that she needed to watch was Terminator series. This happened just last year. And so, thank you. So we throw on Terminator 1 starting at the start of the franchise and everything like that. We start watching the film, and we've already alluded to it. Terminator 1 is very dark. It's very horror-esque and everything like that. And in that film,
Yeah.
in case if you haven't seen it, spoilers for Terminator 1 that came out, we already said it, 1984. You know, yeah, decades ago. Arnold is a killing machine coming in the past to kill Sarah Connor, who is the mother of John Connor, the leader of the revolution, when Skynet...
The Resistance.
The Resistance, thank you.
Yes.
Skynet is a self-aware AI that rises up and has machines trying to exterminate all humans. Soon. What my wife didn't know going into the film is that Arnold's the bad guy. Pop culture and everything involving Terminator is Arnold's good. Terminator 2, Terminator 3. The ones after that, I mean, like I said, this was just last year that she's watching this. We have 6 films. 5 of them, Arnold's a good guy.
Yeah.
She's never watched them, but trailers and just like the sponge
Just zeitgeist.
from Zeitgeist.
Yeah.
That's the right way of saying it. She had no idea that Arnold was a bad guy, so he starts blasting people.
Tearing I almost said Bill Murray. Bill Paxton's heart out.
Yeah, tearing
As
Bill
the punk
Paxton's
guy.
heart out of the she's like, God, he's kind of brutal, isn't he?
Laundry Day.
So we're partway through the film, and I think it's the Sarah Connor. Yes. Dush, 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 guns down one of the Sarah Connors. She pauses it and looks at me and she goes, "Is he the bad guy?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "What?" She was like, her mind was blown. And I just remember going, oh my God. If I'd have known, I would have recorded this for Tad.
Well, that's like reverse, right? Because like what I've always said is that one of the biggest mistakes they made marketing wise was revealing that Terminator is the good guy in T2. Yeah. It's kind of like up there with like Gandalf's back in the second movie for Lord of the Rings. Why the fuck do you show that stuff on the posters and in the trailers?
Yeah.
When there's a lot of people going in that don't know that.
Exactly.
Whatever. Although I have seen with reaction videos in the last like little while, people watching it when they get into Terminator 2, they get up to that scene not knowing that Arnold is a good guy.
No,
because the way that movie plays, that whole first 20 minutes of that movie, you don't know that he's not a bad guy.
Oh, he abuses those bikers and everything like that, but he doesn't kill anyone, so you don't have.
You don't really notice that he doesn't kill anyone though, because there is some brutal stuff in that too.
He throws a guy on top of a fucking oven.
The oven throws the one guy out the window.
The one guy stabs him. He doesn't. Yeah, breaks the arm.
Breaks the one guy's arm, puts it down on the table, and stabs the thing right to his shoulder blade.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's being soft with them.
No, and then they also disguised T-1000. It's almost like they were doing it on purpose.
Oh, they
did. The T-1000 looks like he just punches it. And as a kid, I always thought he just punched the cop.
Yeah.
No, he absolutely stabs him to death.
Yeah, we don't know that till later.
No.
And then also they're mimicking Kyle in the first one. It's Kyle Reese is the small human. Arnold's this big hulking machine motherfucker. So then the T-1000, they get the smaller frame actor that So it's just they
played by Robert Patrick, right?
They purposely built that up to to deceive people.
And then the executives are like, "Here, let's release the clip where." This time he's protecting John Connor.
Yeah.
It's like, you fuckers.
Yeah, so they did screw that up a bit. But there are still people that are learning it the proper way where it's like, holy shit, he tells them to get down.
This is one of those moments where we've talked about this before. We wish that we had a camera on my wife. Because you love that reaction shit.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
just to see her reaction that she's like, Arnold's the bad guy? Like, what? Like, she was so flabbergasted by that.
Fuck you, asshole.
Fuck you, asshole.
So good.
Carol says in the chat, nice story, Ted, about watching it on Judgment Day without even meaning to.
Yeah.
Mike says, hardest part of Terminator 1 is watching Reese put on the nasty clothes he steals from the homeless guy.
Yeah. It is pretty dingy. I will say, too, as an adult now, I freaking adore the first movie, and I love Kyle Reese. He's such a great character. Love it.
Absolutely.
Good stuff.
The other thing also with Terminator that we have to talk about is this is one of your idols, heroes that you look up to, Sarah Connor.
Oh, I mean, she's
only Linda Hamilton, the actress who plays Sarah Connor in 1, 2, and a couple movies later, right?
Yeah, she was in is it Genesis, the newest one?
Yes.
I think. Yeah, that's where she came back.
She came back in Genesis. Okay.
Yeah.
No, Dark Fate is the newest one. Genesis is with
Oh, that's right.
Emilia Clarke.
That's right. Yeah,
Dark Fate is where she came back.
Dark
Yeah.
Fate. Yeah.
It's
hard to keep them all straight.
So you have to explain the love for Sarah Connor. Go ahead and explain where did that come from? What did the character have that drew you so much to her?
I mean, it's the same. We already talked once before when we were talking Star Wars about Princess Leia.
Yeah.
My mom's just a badass. She always has been.
She is, absolutely.
Like I remember being like on the playground at one point, and a kid's like, "My dad could beat up your dad," and I'm like, "My mom could beat up your dad." Like that's where I would go, and it's like not
she really could.
And as I was saying,
that's the thing.
yeah,
Like,
and
she still can.
And like now as an adult, you go, that's a funny insult. It's like for me, it wasn't an insult. I was literally just telling him the truth. Like my mom will kick your dad's ass. So
and she would. Too.
So like, and honestly, and generally in pop culture, like I said with Princess Leia, you just don't see women that reflect that. So for little Tad growing up, you had those Laurie Strode, Sarah Connor, Princess Leia, types. Are the only times I ever found my mom in movies. It wasn't a damsel in distress. It wasn't some, oh, woe is me, please help me. Like, no, it was a badass that took the shit into her own hands. Like, that's what I knew. That's the, like, what do they say?
What you grew up with,
yeah, that's
right?
what they always say is like your mom's like your prototype for what a woman would be if you're a young boy. And it's like, so I didn't see a whole lot of my mom in movies. So those characters are always special to me for that. And I want to say I may be forgetting one. Oh yeah, Ripley.
Yeah,
Ripley's the other ones. There's four of them that are just badasses. Now, I mean, there's been more since certainly, but as I was growing up, it was those four was the ones, and Leia and Sarah are the top. If I have to rank them, those are going to be my top ones. So
probably movies you watch the most as well. Too.
Oh yeah,
that plays a part, right?
That doesn't hurt. Yeah, indeed.
So, what's your favorite version of Sarah Connor?
Terminator 2.
The badass chick from Terminator 2.
Yeah. Because I mean, in the first one, she's like just a normal. And that's the whole point, is she's normal.
Yeah.
But again, and it's funny because it's like, that was hard for me watching it as an adult or high school, whatever it was, when I finally came around to revisiting. I think it would have been after high school. Because it was after high school that I really started to focus on hitting movies that like were a little bit more mature. That's where I watched like Godfather, Scarface, Heat,
that
kind
makes
of
sense.
like. Then that first like 5 years out of high school is when I really got. I mean, because I was already into movies, but that's when I really started to expand my palette a little bit. And like that's the point when DVDs were really hot. So you can go out and buy them like Godfather, or
You started working at Suncoast Films, a store
that was my second
sold
job.
Movies at the mall. You left Jubilee to go work there, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, so I mean, so Terminator 2, like most of the questions, if you ask like what favorite version, it's usually gonna be Terminator 2 because it was hard for me when I, as an adult, went back to Terminator 1 because it's like suddenly this badass that I had, seen in that light for so long, suddenly she's just a normal working girl. It was like. What the fuck? Like, this isn't what I.
It explains a little bit why Kid Tad was not necessarily loving it
as
so much.
drawn into it. And like, so it was just interesting to me because again, it's kind of like your wife, like going backwards with it. I went backwards with it, where it's like I then learned the full arc of Sarah in reverse. I saw what she became, and then only later did I find out where she started. So I guess it's kind of Star Warsy too, right? You get the second half of the story, or the first half of the story second. Like, I basically did that.
Which we found out last time is how they used to do movies. Is that why Lucas did Star Wars that way is because movies didn't have like a set start time. You could just walk in whenever.
Waltz in, Yeah. So that's I love her in that one. She's a badass. She takes shit into her own hands. It's kind of like Princess Leia. Some people are going in to break her out, but she's already got it well in hand. Leia takes over the rescue because they're all fucking incompetent, and she's like, I know more of what I'm doing than you people do, so I'm taking over. Whereas Sarah, she already had things well in hand. She was getting her way out before they showed up. So
I think she would have succeeded.
She would have, She got to that. If he doesn't come out of that elevator, she gets in the elevator, gets down to the parking lot. Like
the only thing she has to worry about is the guard at the gate.
Yeah.
And she would have handled him.
Yeah, she would have gotten to it.
Well, she would have been in the parking garage, actually.
Yeah, exactly. And she would have figured a way.
She would have hot-wired a car instantly and been gone.
And
blown through the gate.
Ram the gate.
Gone.
Yeah, she's gone. So she doesn't need them. They screw up her escape, obviously, and then have to help her. But
if they hadn't gone, T-1000 was there.
Yeah,
so.
That's true too. But luckily, she
unknowingly, if there's no Terminators, no John,
she unknowingly escaped before he even. Because remember, by the time he gets there, her room's got the dude in it.
But he could have caught her.
I don't know.
You don't think so?
He was ahead of her. She was ahead of him pretty well. So again, she would have.
She got to the elevator, turned around, and ran from Arnold. into the arms of
And that's
the
where-
orderlies, and that's where T-1000
And after
walks
that
up.
fight, he walks up. So if they're not there, she gets through that elevator, gets down the park. By the time she's gone before he.
Dude, she's probably gone.
She's gonzo.
Yeah.
But she's also fucking prepped, right? She's
true.
How much training and stuff is involved. I mean, one of the
Doing-
first times you
doing
see her, she's doing
pull-ups on her
pull-ups
bed.
On her bed, yeah. Like
turns her bed on the side and is doing pull-ups. Kara says Terminator is such a great closed-loop time travel story too. Just thought I'd throw that in
Yeah,
there.
for
And then
sure.
I wish your TV show would have lasted more seasons. Yeah, the Sarah
Yeah.
Connor Chronicles are pretty good.
yeah, with Cersei from Game of Thrones
Yeah.
playing Sarah Connor.
Yeah.
In fact, he talked about the loop. No fate, but what we make for ourselves. Who's the first person to say that?
The first person to say that is Kyle, isn't it?
Kyle
Yeah.
tells Sarah,
Yeah.
and Kyle says that John told me to memorize this.
Yeah. So who's the first person?
So Sarah gives the message down to John, which then grows up and gives it to Kyle.
Yeah.
Who started it?
Kyle. Because it happens in the
John,
first.
but John makes him memorize it. And
But
comes-
not. But that's in the future. So if you're looking on a linear timeline, Kyle's the first one that says it. Sarah gets it
No,
from Kyle, tells John, and then Kyle goes back and tells Sarah.
According to the whole new way of looking at the timelines, it's all linear. So the future is your past, right? And so
No, we're not looking at Ant-Man. Like she says here, this is a closed time loop.
But yeah, it's a
thing.
loop. So it's like, who starts it? That's as a kid we used to joke about that because it's like
the chicken or the egg question, right?
There is no answer ultimately. But we used to joke about that a lot as a kid because it's like, who did say that first? Because like,
Carol says bootstrap paradox.
yeah. The other thing that I have to mention is the director's cut of Terminator 2.
Oh no, we're going to talk about it.
Okay.
Save it
Okay,
for the questions.
just
and
making
everything
sure
like
because I wanted to mention Kyle ultimately. Again, that was my introduction to Kyle Reese.
Yeah.
Was seeing that on because that's the other thing I wanted to mention too is in the year 2000 Christmas I got a DVD player for Christmas. They were fairly expensive.
What was the first movie?
I had two movies to start off. My
Okay.
parents bought me. I got Scary Movie
All right.
and Terminator 2.
Of course you got Terminator 2.
Yes.
Like it just that was one of the questions I had down there was what was your first copy of Terminator 2?
Yeah.
So-
And it is still in my collection. It is.
It's right down there.
It is the foundation of my collection. But yes,
where it all started.
It's where it all started. Yeah. So that's.
Do you remember my first DVD? I told you it. Do you remember what it was?
No, I don't.
Final Destination.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's strange because it's one of those weird things where it's like, cool, you buy a DVD player whenever that would have been, because that would have been anywhere between 2000 and 2000, or I mean, maybe 99 if you were like
Really into it. Yeah.
you're really into it. But then probably between there and like '02 is about when DVD players started to become a little bit more affordable for people. So it's just funny to ask people's first DVD if they remember, because it's always just some random ass movie usually. It's never like, oh, my all-time favorite movie. I mean, for me, it's one of my favorite movies, but that was like a Christmas present. But like most people, though, it was like, well, I bought it, and then I bought these two random movies, and sometimes it was like a new release. So it's like The Scorpion King or just whatever. I'm throwing shit out. But yeah, so that was another one of the things I wanted to mention is of like the checklist in my head of like Terminator things. Those are, I think you've covered most of the big ones that are super reflective on me.
But going into Terminator 2 Collector's Edition, since we're talking about the DVDs and Blu-rays and 4K and all that stuff, how many exact copies do you have of Terminator 2? Do you know off the top of your head?
I don't. At one point I calculated, I think it's about 14 to 16.
Different versions of Terminator 2.
Yes.
Not Terminator and Terminator 3 and all the
No,
other
no,
ones.
just
Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's about 16, I think.
And so we have to talk about you just mentioned it, so I'll go ahead and I'll ask. So how big were the changes for the director's cut of Terminator 2 for you as a when did that come out?
So I saw it for the first time on that DVD in 2000. I don't know if that's the first time it came out. I don't think they ever
That's
put
the
it
first
out
time you saw it.
I don't think they ever put it out on VHS. So that probably may have been the first time it ever came out.
Okay.
I remember it blew my mind. I mean, again, DVDs are so new. The idea of alternate cuts was just not a thing. I mean, now it's so ubiquitous that we take it for granted. I mean, almost every, I mean, for a period of time there, every horror movie always came out with an unrated cut on the first time it came out on DVD. So it's just, I think we become like numb to the idea that there's a different, I mean, even recently there was like a movie that was announced, it was about to come out in theaters, and like there will be a director's cut on the the home video release. They're announcing it like the week the movie's about to hit the theaters.
Yeah.
So it's normal. But back then, the idea of an alternate version of a movie was.
I think it was Evil
Maybe
Dead.
it was
I think it was
Evil
Evil
Dead.
Dead that they
Yeah.
announced that. You pointed it out to me. You're like, Why are they doing that right before? That's like telling us that that's not the full film.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no. So it probably would have been around probably Christmas of 2000. I saw it for the first time because that would have been the first thing I clicked on. Is wait, I can't remember if it's special edition or direction, whatever the fuck they call it. But it's a new cut of the movie.
There are some big changes in this cut.
Yeah.
So some of the big changes is that we see a little bit more from T-1000 at the foster parents' house.
Yeah, we see him kill Max.
We see him kill the dog, unfortunately. Yeah. And that's how we figure out that he was outed.
As a young kid, I didn't know the first movie, so I didn't know that dogs were the ones that knew Terminators. They could always identify Terminators. So that whole thing makes more sense once you learn that. But yeah, so you see him kill Max, you see him go and check the collar and stuff, and he realizes, oh, I got bamboozled and stuff. You get more from Dyson. There's scenes there. I'm really
Dyson at his work too. Right?
Yeah,
there's more at his work that you don't see in the normal cut.
Yeah,
that's pretty fascinating to see that.
Yeah, there's also I'm sorry, I knew I was missing something big. The big one is the inhibit or the chip scene. So when they're at the garage, in the you know whatever they just sew up Sarah and whatever and they move on. But in the director's cut, there's a whole scene where I can't remember why, I don't remember if there's something damaged with him, but they pull his chip out. And it's actually an interesting scene because they shot it with Linda Hamilton has a twin. Yeah. So they did it with like a fake Arnold in the foreground. The real Arnold's behind a wall that looks like it's going to be a mirror. Then you have Linda Hamilton and Linda Hamilton's sister. So they're basically replicating a mirror, but it's not. There's 4 or 2.5 or 3.5.
You've seen the prank videos where twins stand on either side of what's a mirror.
Yeah.
And then the person standing there, they're like, I don't have a reflection. What is this? Like,
yeah.
What?
So in that though, the big part of it though is that they pull it out and then Sarah's going to destroy the chip.
Yeah,
let's kill this fucking thing.
And John stops her.
Yeah, like you don't know how hard these things are to kill. He stops her, and then with that they turn the chip over to basically allow him to learn. And then so you see a small bit of it in the theatrical cut where like he starts to learn and say like, you know, hasta la vista and like learning how to talk or whatever. But there's there's also a big scene where like he has him smile and stuff. So there's a number of stuff they have. But one of the biggest things that I think is missing is you start to see the T-1000 malfunction.
Go into that a little bit more for us in detail of what we're talking about. If you haven't seen the director's cut or uncut or whatever it's called, that we're just going to call it the director's cut.
Yeah. So
it starts with
it's after he gets blasted with the liquid nitrogen.
Right.
That's what ultimately starts to fuck him up. Is because you've completely frozen this liquid thing, and then now he breaks, re-heals back up. After that, you start to see him glitch.
After one of the worst worst deer in the headlight moments in cinematic history, where they just stand here and watch him melt and reform. Dude, they stand there for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, we don't have much time.
What are you doing? Go!
Run, you bastards! But you see it in the theatrical. Like there's like a little glitch that happens to him.
You think there's just him like flexing kind of thing?
Yeah,
you know?
no. So that's him glitching. There's 2 big things that happen. The first one, he grabs a black and yellow, very Blaine the Mono, as a matter of fact, from Dark Tower side. Yeah. The black and yellow striped like
safety rail,
and he looks down and his arm has changed to black and yellow
and like formed around the rail.
So he pulls it up and his hand is all black and yellow. Then he like flicks it and it fixes it. And then that's the big thing when
it's like when you smack the side of a monitor to fix it.
Yeah, and then when John is up there with 2 Sarahs, you don't really see it in the director or in the theatrical that I recall. He just realizes that one is whatever. But in the director's cut, he looks down and the grating, that metal grating, the T-1000's legs are starting to look like that. So that's how he understands which one's the real one and which one's not. So there's like this whole thing there. I'm sure I'm missing some other stuff because there's
one that always stuck in my brain is when he's flying the helicopter. He has a third arm.
That's in the theatrical.
Is that in the theatrical? I thought it wasn't.
You see him reloading the gun.
Like it's like an MP5 kind of.
People miss it because it's a blink and you miss it, and you have to be looking at the right spot. But you see him with 3 arms because you got the one piloting the thing while he's reloading the submachine gun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've eyeball because honestly nowadays it's 50-50 because I will say again for the longest time I obsessed with it. Now I've come back around to because I do think the theatrical is a brisker movie. I think it happened. It's just the pacing is perfect. So the director's one, I wouldn't say it lags, but the theatrical is just an absolute perfect pacing of a movie. And So the director's one does bog down a tiny bit a few times because it's
Sure.
just you're
the
adding
reset,
more stuff in there.
the CPU reset. That's the one scene I would definitely point to as one that definitely kind of like bogs us down a little bit.
A bit because it slows down the momentum.
It slows down. It's right after a big escape from the institute, right?
Yeah.
The mental institute, and then they go to the garage and they park and they're in the station wagon and everything like that.
Yeah.
It definitely goes down a little bit there. This says, I just pulled up an article here just making sure that we don't miss anything from that.
Yeah, I might be.
This says this includes posing as John's foster mother before killing his foster father and their dog.
Yeah, you see that in the theatrical.
You see the.
So it's in the theatrical. She knifes him in the face, and then they hang up the phone. Your foster parents are dead, and then in the theatrical, you see him pull the arm back out. I believe because that's a pretty big effects shot. And that's the end. Then it cuts back to the Terminator. But in the director's cut, you see him go outside, kills the dog, pulls up the leash that still has blood on it.
Yeah.
And then looks at it and says Max.
Oh, we are obviously forgetting about a huge part of the director's
There has
cut,
to be.
Kyle Reese.
Oh, that's what I fucking started.
You literally started with this. Yeah. Talk to us about that
So
scene.
that was my introduction to him, is because
Yeah.
there's the point where she's dreaming. It's right before the nuclear dream,
Yeah.
which I will say I'm a fairly person that really, I don't want to say loves because that sounds wrong. I've always been fascinated by nuclear weapons and the science behind them, everything about them. I will say it's 100% because of Terminator 2. That scene in Terminator 2 when you see the bomb go off just has fascinated me since I was a child. But predecessor to that scene, I'm so glad because I knew I was missing something.
There was something big. That's why I looked it up, because I knew there was something.
And it's some callbacks to the first movie, which I didn't get the first time watch, and not till much later that I saw the first movie and appreciated it to its full glory. Because there's like the whole "on your feet, soldier" line. She wakes up and he's in her room.
Yeah. She's in the mental institute real fast, just to give like a background for anyone who hasn't seen it. Terminator 2, go watch it. Like, come on. He comes in, but it is the director's cut, so people may not have seen that. She's like crying in her room over something. I think she gets denied visitation to John,
and that's when
or
they
to call him or something.
No, it's when they
that.
said that they're not going to let her get into minimum security.
Minimum, so that she would have visitors.
Visitation, yeah.
Which she would be able to talk to John if she had that.
Yeah.
She's back in her room, and there's something from the hospital staff, isn't there? Like the guy with glasses that she beats the fuck out of later, like abuses her in some way, like beats the shit out of her.
Oh, there
a
is
little
more
bit.
added to that.
There's
I
more
think.
to that, because in the
theatrical you see him liquor though.
In the theatrical, you
Her
see him
face.
liquor, which is obviously
That's really
disgusting
nasty.
and gross and everything
pretty
like that.
bad.
Which he deserves to get his ass kicked for that. But in the director's cut, he does something when taking her back to her
Oh
cell.
no! It's not
No?
that. It's
No, okay.
So when the very first time you see Sarah, it's when Silberman is bringing the people around and he's showing them like a zoo. It's the zoo.
Oh yeah.
It's a
She's
zoo
doing
scene.
the pull-ups.
And then the director's cut, Silberman talks to Doggy, the whatever you call him, the guard.
Tad remembers that somehow. Just remembers that guard's name is what?
It's either Doggy or Dougie. It's easy to blur it together. But he says, "Hey, I don't like to see the patients upset in their room like this."
Which is in the theatrical cut. But what he does,
and he tells her to make sure she takes her medication.
Yeah.
And she comes in, she refuses it, and he ends up hitting her and then tasing her with a fucking cattle prod
over and over again.
Yeah, hits her a few times with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then she's in her room after getting denied, and Kyle Reese comes in, who is dead. He died in the first film.
Yeah.
So in her imagination,
And
he's
he's-
like, on your feet, soldier, like trying to pick her up.
And he's telling her, he's like, hey, our son's out there. He's alone.
Yeah.
He needs you. He's not protected. Like, just all the things that would be in her head anyway. It's a really cool scene. I'm getting chills just thinking about it.
It's a great
A-
shot,
And then he
too.
walks away, and it's like a weird thing where you don't see him like walk away. It just like cuts, and he's like outside the room,
Mm-hmm.
and then she starts chasing him, and then she's outside the doors, and
then she wakes up and
there's-
it was a dream.
No, it's the playground and the nuclear.
Oh
scene.
yeah, that's the precursor to the nuclear scene, the famous one where she's on the fence. And
Yeah, watching herself and a young John Connor.
what would have been, if she hadn't, got hunted.
Yeah.
And everything.
Yeah.
And then the nuke goes off, and then you get the blasting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, that's obviously a great scene. Also adds a little bit more for that the Dougie or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
That you hate that guy even more. Like, wow, not only licking her, which is just gross because we're talking about
It's that's worse than the abuse.
Dude, we're-
Like tasing and hitting, like,
she's like strapped down to the bed, guys, like full on, and then he just comes up
and she's pretending to be comatose.
Oh.
Yeah, that's really bad. That's bad.
It's bad.
And then she breaks his fucking nose at the.
She destroys him.
It's so good.
It's so good.
So
So
satisfying.
we got some questions. I'm going to ask you not to look at the chat. There's a question in there that I'm saving for later. It's a great question. I want to go with this one. What is your favorite version of the future from those 3 movies? Because
you
one
don't
of the things
see
we got to
the
talk
future much in T2.
One of the things we have to talk about. We do get some though.
Very little.
We
though.
get a lot of the
Not like the first one where you get quite a bit of it.
We get battles in the T2. We see an adult John Connor and everything like that. So we do see that.
Yeah,
So-
but that's like the intro.
But we also haven't talked about Terminator 3 at all, where the
Yeah.
future changes. I'm not talking about what you actually see in the film.
Oh, okay, I see.
What version of the future do you most like represented? T1, Terminator 1, has
The storm's coming.
the storm is coming,
Yeah.
the machines are winning. In Terminator 2, it's worse than ever. They're sending assassins back now. In Terminator 3, we find out humans win. Or is that later?
They always win. That's the whole point of killing John Connor.
Is that they got to stop that?
Skynet's on the ropes. John
Is
is
that really how it's portrayed from Terminator 1, 2,
yeah.
and 3?
Yeah, they've gotten their victories. It's over.
Okay.
The robots are done.
I took that from Genesis, that they're like, oh, this was like their last ditch
No,
effort, and everyone's
yeah.
like, what?
Yeah, no, that's
Okay.
That's
Okay.
all along from the beginning. Is like Kyle telling her, is like, yeah, we had won. We're pretty much
Okay.
it's pretty much over. And then right as because that's how they get to the point where they have access to the time warp.
Okay.
Is
okay.
because the robots have that. They don't. Like
They-
humans
yeah,
don't have access
we find
to that.
it. We find out in Genesis, and I know this is outside of the 1, 2, and 3 that we said we were going to talk about. And I remember
Most of that's connected to what we have in the first 3, though.
is that the humans are breaking down the door of Skynet, about to destroy it.
It's over, yeah.
And so it's sending Terminators back, and so
Yeah.
they start sending people and Terminators back to
stop.
help.
Yeah, to stop.
those time.
Yeah.
The time jumpers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly, and that's portrayed in the first couple movies as well.
So do you like the Terminator 1 where it's kind of ambiguous, but Terminator 2 gives us a little bit more that John's like a hardened fighter after the events of Terminator 2? Like, think end of film. At the end of Terminator, at the end of Terminator 2, and at the end of Terminator 3, which one is your favorite version of the future? Because Terminator 3 is we haven't really talked about it. It's vastly different. Judgment Day supposedly stopped.
At the
all
end
of a
of
sudden
2.
there's
So-
at the end of 2, all of a sudden there's another Terminator, and Arnold's back. Like, what?
So that's when I interpret the endings. That's what I meant. So at the very
Okay.
she's in Mexico. Kid takes her picture. He's hustling her.
Yep.
And she says a storm's coming. Because that's the end of the movie.
She knows
'Cause-
she's got to prep.
And yeah, it's like really there is a storm coming, but ultimately she's like, in her mind, yes,
Yeah.
there is a storm coming. So it's kind of in a way of like, okay, we won this battle, but there's still shit coming down the way. Like the world's going to end basically. Terminator 2 ends in a way to where you think that it's over, they've solved it, Judgment Day is never going to happen because they've killed Skynet in the womb. They basically reverse Uno card the whole John Connor thing,
Yeah,
right?
it's not going to exist now.
Because that's what I think. There's one of the cops or someone says it in the first movie where it's like, oh, it's just some weird, like convoluted abortion. Then,
Yeah.
about why they're there to kill her or whatever. So, and also one little pause too.
Yeah.
Like in the rules of the story, how does the T-1000 go through the time machine? The time machine, you need to have it's only living tissue. That's why Arnold has skin because that's what goes through. That's why Kyle comes through naked. How's the T-1000 as a purely cybernetic liquid? There's no answer. It's kind of a plot hole a little bit. It's just one of those ones when they explain the rules. It's like, well, that doesn't make sense for the T-1000. But that is, or the TX in Terminator 3 is the same way.
TX has flesh, though,
she's just
right?
no. It's a skeleton with the T-1000 over the top of it. So she kind of breaks the rules too. But then the end of 3. So I will say, I actually when we initially set up our stuff on for Geekery Abides, we have a thing that we track our ideas. I have one at the very bottom called Terminator 3, and basically the whole premise of that was to discuss why I think Terminator 3 should exist, because I think a lot of people say that Terminator 1 and 2 are all-time classics. I would agree. And then that maybe they should have stopped there, and even that to a point I can maybe agree, but there's one big thing that I say Terminator 3 has to be.
Save it. I actually have a closing arguments about this.
Okay, well, okay.
So save it
You're
for me.
asking me about the endings. That's why.
So save it for me. then just tell me what your favorite version of the future is. So in Terminator 1, Storm's coming. They haven't stopped anything. Terminator 2, they stopped it. Terminator 3, Judgment Day is happening at the end of the film.
Yeah.
At the end of each film, which one would you say is your favorite version of the future?
I mean,
because if you say Terminator 2, Ted, that's a happy ending, and I just can't see you
and for me it's a debate between 1 and 3. Because 1, I love that ominous, like the storm is coming. But the 3, I mean, next to The Mist, 3 is one of my favorite
twists
endings.
Yeah.
And the way it's staged is brilliant.
Okay.
So
I'm kind of avoiding Terminator 3 on purpose because I do have a closing argument involving it. So I'm kind of avoiding it just a little bit on purpose.
I'm glad, because I was wondering, I forgot to tell you in advance, like, make sure you give me an opportunity for Terminator 3.
You said you had a closing argument, so I was going to allow it, but I do have a Terminator 3 closing arguments for you. So I will let you keep that in your back pocket.
Okay.
We got about 15 minutes here. I'm going to do some rapid fire questions. I want short explanations, but I want enough to justify it. Okay. And then I have a really good question from the chat. Again, don't look at the chat. Just keep your eyes over here.
Keep an eye on the time.
Okay,
too.
okay. I got the time. Don't worry about it. But these next 4 questions are going to be kind of rapid fire, but I want an explanation.
Okay, so you don't want rapid answers.
Not rapid answers, rapid questions, but I'm not going to say anything to influence you or anything like that. I want to know this, and I do not want any guff from you.
Oh, that's like a, hey, honey, whatever I tell you right now, don't be mad.
Yep.
Promise me
that's
you're not
exactly,
going to be mad.
Promise me you're not going to be mad, Tad.
Yeah.
All right, let's start off with, what is your favorite chase scene in the Terminator series? 1, 2, and 3. Go.
Oh, that's going to be...
There's some great ones, right?
Yeah, there really is. God damn it. I think it's going to be a...
I need an evil laugh button. This is great.
It's So it's going to come down to either the dirt bike scene in Terminator 2 or the helicopter SWAT van. It's Terminator 2. It's Terminator 2 for sure.
Okay.
I do love the crane one, and 3 is pretty great.
It's a great ending to a chase.
The final chase in the first one with the truck, and then you get the Terminator brought down to its skeleton core is great. It has there's also like some pretty like raw chase stuff with like the car and like the midpoint of the first movie, but like
that dude. That's one of the things I realized with this trilogy is there are some fucking great car chases and just chases in general.
Because like it really comes down to like, because I think with the dirt bike one, you also count like T-1000 chasing him on foot, which is terrifying. You get all the truck stuff, you get the ravine stuff.
Basically, that chase starts when John gets on his motorcycle
and he's trying to start it.
That tension right there is just.
But
so
I think
good.
the only thing that you really, I mean, because there's so much more going on with the SWAT van, T-1000's in the fucking helicopter, the music's fucking going
Sarah
nuts.
gets shot.
Sarah's involved.
No. Yeah, Sarah's there.
Sarah's actually there.
Yeah.
Like,
but what about the shotgun that Arnold has in the reloading trick with the what is that, like the LA? It's not the LA River, but it's very LA River-esque.
I don't know what they call that. I was like whatever those
like
are,
an aqueduct or whatever. You know, man-made river bed.
God, that's a tough question. And
the best part is there's 4 questions. This is the easiest one.
It's probably going to be a coin toss.
Come on. Time's running out, Tim.
I think I would go with the dirt bike.
It's great.
Like
it's great. Great choice.
Because then you get T-1000 in that truck.
Yep.
Fucking terrifying. Okay. I mean, then Arnold doing that jump. You've got the shotgun blasting.
Dude,
the
how great is the end
stuff.
of it too? It's like you see something coming out of the flame, then he lowers the shotgun.
I guess what I would say is the helicopter chase that I'm referring to. The fact that was in debate for so long in my head. Proves how much of a good scene that is.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the music is fucking banging on like crazy.
Yeah.
T-1000's in that helicopter, 3 arms and shit, and it's
shooting at
wonderful.
each other from a helicopter. He goes under the bridges. It's great.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually realized I may have asked these out of order. This might be an easier one for you. What's your favorite gunfight?
Let's see. I guess what constitutes a gunfight?
We're not talking like a quick exchange of...
Like Arnold at Cyberdyne, shooting out like the cops' cars, but he's not killing anyone.
That's a gunfight.
They shoot back at him.
That's a gunfight.
Okay.
And I hate to beg to differ. Someone does die in that gunfight. Miles Dyson does die.
Well,
from
not
that.
by Terminator though.
No. And I never said anything about a gunfight that
No,
Terminator.
no. I'm just saying that like
Killed someone.
I'm just saying that like. Somebody might argue that it's not a gunfight because it's like he just shoots, they all duck, he stops, they pop up and shoot. Like
That's a gunfight.
It's not
people
like,
shooting at each other's a gunfight. That's a gunfight.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I think that actually adds a little bit of interest to that gunfight because he's been ordered not to kill anyone.
I mean,
but also at the same time, you do have a gunfight between T-1000 and them as well. That is a gunfight there.
Yeah. No, you know what? I completely forgot. No, what it is? It's the ground level at the end of that Cyberdyne when Arnold goes out and starts shooting everyone in the kneecaps after they've shot the fuck out of him.
Oh, the SWAT, the one that's in the lobby.
Yeah.
That specific scene right there.
Dude,
that's
just
it.
yeah, when they're lighting him up and like, which to this day, the Stan Winston's work on that one that's walking forward because that's not even really Arnold.
Yeah.
When all the shit's like going off of him and stuff, like. Dude, it wasn't.
That's not Arnold?
No, that's a dummy.
Oh, I thought it was like little things popping off of him, like little tiny explosions doing that. That's a dummy?
It's not even Arnold.
Oh, my God. I never knew that.
I didn't know until that disc. Because that disc, the other thing about that 2000
Directors.
Like that massive.
It is called Director's Cut, by the way.
It's called like the Ultimate Cut or the Ultimate. But dude, that thing is like a film school in a box. Like there's so much involved with like there's one portion of it they go through like the different levels of what Arnold's shotgun was.
Yeah.
There's like a fucking cannon in a valley on top of a shotgun on top of a handgun, and they just merge it all together to make like
it's like Chewbacca's roar, where it's like 6 animals combined.
Exactly
to make that.
So like it goes super in depth, and I didn't know until watching one of those special features that whole scene was a Stan Winston fucking double. And they literally just had little explosives the skin was coming off. And
damn,
when he's going through the gas mask and pulling the mask off the dude, like
popping him in the kneecap, he shoots the one in the back with the tear gas
canister. Yeah,
that's your gunfight.
That's probably my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah, that one's pretty great.
Okay, these next two questions are going to be, I think, probably tough. Maybe one of them is going to be easy, but the other one you're going to hate me for. Who's your favorite Terminator?
Like. In terms like actor wise, or
anyone who came back in time, that's what I'm qualifying. What is your favorite model or human to come back in time? I'm counting them as Terminators.
Oh, so Reese counts then.
Reese counts then as well, because I count it as someone who is sent back to complete a mission.
So time traveler.
Time
not
traveler.
Terminator.
I call them Terminators because let's be honest, 98% of them are Terminators that came back. So.
I might surprise you. I think Kyle Reese.
I honestly was wondering about that.
Even though I came to him very late, like I said, 2000, that disc came out. I saw that scene, and I was just like, one, I already know who Michael Biehn is from Aliens.
Tombstone.
I don't know how much I was.
Probably.
I had seen Tombstone because we had it on VHS. But it's Aliens. When I see him, it's like, oh, it's Hicks. So I'm just like, wait, Hicks is in this movie? And then now as an adult, just having gone back and revisit the original movie, like, Kyle is an incredible fucking character.
The original "Come with me if you want to live."
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
not Arnold. It's "Come with me if you want to live."
Yeah,
it's Reese,
and just everything about his performance in that movie is incredible. The late, unfortunately, Anton Yelchin in one of the future movies that we're not really talking about reprised that role and did just as good mimicking Michael Bihn's Kyle Reese as Bones McCoy. With Carl Urban, like he nailed it. He was perfect. He did
good.
It perfect. So, Kyle Reese, like as hard as that may be to say over like Arnold.
So that's your favorite time traveler. I'm going to narrow down the question now. Who's your favorite bad time traveler?
Oh, T-1000.
T-1000.
Yeah, he's dude.
Okay.
He's incredible.
I just had to know, like,
he's
both
incredible.
sides. I should have asked that. I should have asked it that way. Who's your favorite Protector? Who's your favorite Terminator? That's how I should have asked
when he
it.
freaking sticks the thing into her shoulder.
Oh,
and
right in the shoulder.
Call out to John. I know this hurts, and he starts to like fucking wiggle it.
Ugh.
Just it's incredible. Dude.
His death scene is something else too.
Yeah,
the screeches and everything.
Yeah, the screeches.
It's like nails on chalkboard, is what it is.
Yeah. He's just a compelling villain. Like as more horror as the first one is, I think T-1000's a better horror villain. If you played T2 as a horror, T-1000 would be exponentially more scary.
Oh yeah, because it could be anyone.
It could be anyone at any time.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
So I think this. The more and more I look at this question, it's the last question I have for you before we get to the excellent question that Mike asked in the chat.
Am I missing anything else? You keep an eye on the chat otherwise?
I am keeping on the chat. Otherwise, nothing else has happened since Mike asked that question.
Making sure.
What's your favorite film?
I mean, how is that even a question?
It is an easy one.
Oh.
I was wondering if it was going to be a debate or not.
You want to look up at the wall? Do you want to count how many Terminator 1 or Terminator 3s there are?
I guess that's true. But they haven't also released anything like the head or the arm.
Well, no, but I mean, even before the head came out, I owned every time I went to a store and looked and went, oh, look, Terminator 2, and then I flipped it back and went, oh, this is like a disc I have, but it's a different case. Guess what? I bought it.
I'm buying
I
it.
think I've got 3 different steelbooks of T2. They all have the exact same disc, but the steelbooks have slight variances. They're different colors and stuff. So, no, T2. I mean, if you wanted to, the only hard question would be if you were to say, like, hey, of like your Mount Rushmore movies, like T2, Jurassic Park, Halloween, and Star Wars, like that would be tougher. But then that's one of those ones, like, it's an impossible question because how do you compare sci-fi action, sci-fi fantasy versus horror? You know what I mean? Like,
well, it's one of those things that you've always said, and I don't know.
Apples and oranges.
I don't know if we've ever said this on the show. Tad flat refuses to give me a top 10 movies of all time.
True.
The reason why he says that, and correct me if I misspeak for you. Obviously, you're here. You can speak for yourself. Is that it's unfair to compare different genres.
Yeah.
How can you say that Tombstone's a better film than Halloween or than
or how do I compare
Godfather?
Halloween and The Godfather? How do I compare The Exorcist and Star Wars?
Monty Python and the Holy Grail versus so
that was probably
Goodfellas.
15 years ago or so that you asked me that.
I asked you that and you shot me down.
I shot you down, but I did tell you if you want, I can give you a top 10 for every genre.
And trust me, we are going to be and we've done that a little bit.
We've already started.
We did
one.
westerns here.
Yeah, we did westerns
and everything like that.
But on our list, we've got every other genre. We've got
we got a bunch.
Top 10 horror, top 10 action, top 10 comedy.
I want to do something other than a top 10. And
I know. I'm just saying.
I really want. No,
we'll get there.
I'm explaining behind the scenes for everyone.
We'll get
I just wanted to try this different format where it's mostly an interview, especially with someone who's so in love with this franchise. I like Terminator. Don't get me wrong. I love Terminator. But it wasn't on my Mount Rushmore. It wasn't on my top 5 fandoms of all time. I don't think it was. I don't remember now. But I'm sorry if
it wouldn't be today.
It would not be today. It's definitely not on my current fandoms and everything like that. But the thing is that I do love the franchise, and I know enough about Tad. Like, I knew to ask about his greatest story with Terminator. I knew that story.
Yeah.
He loves that story. But now, you have 5 minutes.
And there's a closing argument, right?
Oh, no, we're saving that. We don't have time for you to go into that.
I think we should throw
Okay,
that on.
let's do this question real fast then. Tad, Mike asks in the chat, do you want a final ending to this series, i.e. Skynet is defeated or Skynet is victorious? Or do you want it to be ambiguous going on?
So I like ambiguity, but honestly, like, I've come to a conclusion over the last little bit. I think I mentioned it a little bit here. I do think there's some intellectual properties that are good for a certain amount of movies. I think that Terminator 3 has its merits, and I think it should exist. But I do think, all in all, Terminator's probably got about 2 in its tank, and 3 they just got lucky with, like,
it was okay.
And we'll get into 3 in a bit. But there's a reason I think that 3 should exist. But outside of that, I don't think that this series carries more movies. I think the only way so you're talking like the end of the timeline, basically.
It's done. It's finished. Put a bow on it. No more. Put it away.
And I think that the thing is there's no reason for it, because ultimately the only reason you would show that is if you were going to upset it for some reason, right? Because the whole premise of the entire series is that Skynet is on the ropes. They're about to be defeated. This is their Hail Mary to stop it, is to retroactively erase the guy that led everything. So it's like the only reason I could see to myself that you would even show the ending is if you were going to go the Mist and fuck it to the point where, like, humanity gets completely wiped out.
So showing that Skynet is victorious kind of thing.
That's the only reason to show. Otherwise, like, it's like the Indianapolis, right? Like, let's say Jaws, like, hey, should we do a scene where we just go back and show the Indianapolis after Quint told the story? Why? Why would you?
Why?
Like, there's no point.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of the same way. If humanity's going to win out, like, I don't see the purpose, because we've even seen a couple scenes throughout the series where they've showed, like, the victory parades, and you got or not parades, but like the people holding up their guns and we won. Like, so you've already even had some tastes.
The ceasefire. The war is over. We won.
Yeah, we won. Like, so I don't know. I don't. Now, I will say, I've often said that an interesting idea to me, if they wanted to continue these movies on, is what if they flipped it a little bit, and what if you started a whole movie where people are getting offed and stuff, and you start to find out that at some point in the future, John died because it's a different thing, and the people that took over decided to be Terminators themselves, and they were going and they're killing all the Skynet Cyberdyne people. But you play the movie where people don't know that till the end. So the whole movie you're seeing these people getting fucking gunned down. You got people trying to stop them,
and they're always failing.
And then at the very end, kind of a Planet of the Apes type thing. You realize that,
shit,
like,
that's the good guys gunning down bad guys.
Like maybe they even killed John Connor because they disagreed with the idea of, like, we got to stop this, like, and so they just killed him. And what you thought the whole time are the bad or the good guys, or you basically flip it on the audience where they think they're rooting one side.
It's a shocker at the end,
and you flip it where it's like, holy shit, they've been killing Skynet people the whole time. So
yeah,
that's like, but even that's kind of a gimmick. I don't know. I think that we're about good with this series. I don't know. Sounds like James Cameron got the rights back, and there's some talk that he may want to do something, but I don't know, man. I've taken a lot of abuse over the years from this franchise. I don't know. Ultimately, the first three, that's really, in my mind, the solid.
So one of the reasons why I chose to do the trilogy thing, and so that leads us into our closing argument, which is straight up. We haven't talked about it much because you love Terminator 2 so much, and you went back and you fell in love with Terminator 1 again.
Yeah.
And you mentioned this very early on in this show. It was episode 1 or 2, and I think it was when we did our Mount Rushmore or something like that, or top 5 fandoms of all time or something like that, where you mentioned, hey, Terminator 3 is not a bad movie. And I'll argue that with anyone.
Yeah.
I wrote that down as a closing argument. So your closing argument, sir, is simply convince me that Terminator 3 is a worthy sequel to the Terminator franchise.
Okay,
After Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 Judgment Day, we get Terminator 3.
You got that ending where the future is done. They solved it. You got the open.
Yep.
You got the open road, which I do actually like with Terminator 2 because they give you that little bit of ambiguity.
Yeah.
Because there was that director's cut. I don't know if they put it in the director's cut or if it's just a deleted scene. The one where you see old Sarah Connor on the playground with her grandkid, and it's like, oh yeah, I got drunk that day, and Michael Jackson had his whatever birthday, and like. So that like put a fucking complete close where like there could never be another movie.
I've never seen that scene.
You've not seen that?
I've never seen that
What?
scene. It's
So
on the
it must
it's
not
on
be-
the director's
must
cut.
just be a deleted scene then.
Yeah.
But either way, I'm glad they didn't do that because there was a little bit of ambiguity. So the first thing to defend the third movie, chase scene wise, that crane chase,
So good.
it's really fucking good. Also, I do love the idea of the TX going, not even knowing that John Connor's a target. It's going back there to wipe out his entire leadership structure, and that's where I got like that idea that I was like, what if you flip the whole thing? And now you got people going through icing future Cyberdyne and Skynet people to stop. They're basically Sarah and John Connoring Skynet.
Yeah.
I mean, they become the villain type. That's why I love the idea of like you've become the very thing you were meant to
swore
destroy.
to destroy. Yeah.
So I always love that. But that's where I stole the idea is the TX is, remember, it goes up to the fucking drive-through and it's like taking out John Connor's entire leadership structure.
Yeah.
It's like, cool, we can't get Patton. Well, let's get every fucking colonel that works for Patton and take out his entire structure.
Who makes Patton?
Yeah, exactly.
Like you can't do anything if you don't have the guy supporting you.
And then she happens to mistakenly stumble on John Connor's DNA, and holy shit,
directive
to like the primary directive is now find John Connor and kill him. But
John Connor.
it's just, but yeah, so I love that. But ultimately, for me, what it comes down to, the third one, where it really lives and dies for me is that there's a line from Arnold, because the whole end of the movie, he's like telling them, you know, we've got to get you to this bunker, or no, we got to get to this place where we can shut Skynet down.
Yeah, we got to kill Skynet.
We can go here. Judgment Day is going to happen in like 12 hours. The machines are already going fucking nuts. We can go here. We can push this button. Everything will fucking stop. Also, I love all the humorous stuff with the girl. You know, Arnold's like, oh, you two get married and stuff. And she's like, dude, this guy's a mess. He's like
screw that.
Almost homeless and stuff.
Yeah.
He's like just this scraggly dude that's breaking into a vet to steal the medicine and shit. So like, whatever. And then he's like, yeah, you guys are going to have kids and whatever. Like, it's good. Like,
You're the leaders of the resistance.
It's just that awkward, like almost Michael Scott level stuff where it's just, there's some awkward scenes there. Claire Danes, I think, is who plays her. I'm blanking on her name all of a sudden. But the main thing is that whole tail end of that. Well, for the other one thing I'll mention is Silberman gets his final thing there too. Because they go to the graveyard to get
Kate Connor.
Kate. Yeah, that's right. Kate. what's stuck in my head is Mike Kripke, because she mentions Mike Kripke's basement. He's like, what? It's like, we made out in this party in Mike Kripke's basement. You don't remember? And so that's the thing that stuck in my head. But I love Silberman getting his whole thing. It's like, oh yeah, things happen. You see things that are strange, impossible things, and then you see the thing come up with him in the coffin, and he turns over and he sees him and he just runs away. Because Silberman was in all three. We haven't even mentioned him heavily, but he was the one that was like, oh man, I could make a whole career off of this Kyle Reese. He's a fucking nut job. And then he's working on Sarah, and then you see him there trying to like talk down Kate. Yeah. So that's a cool scene too. But ultimately, that tail end, that last act, is really where, to me, the other thing is Kate's dad is the guy that turns on Skynet. So that's kind of cool.
Early too.
Yeah,
earlier than it's supposed to.
Yeah, because they're trying to fight the virus.
Which is Skynet.
Because the TX puts the virus out to start Skynet. They're like, well, the only way to do this is to turn on this AI we've got that can go and wipe it out all across the internet. Cool, let's do it. Beep.
Thank you.
But no, the ultimate thing, though, is that tail end, though, the whole idea of Arnold, essentially, because we end up finding out he's deceiving them.
Yep.
Because he gets there, he's like, wait a minute, where's all the fucking computers? He's like, no, this is a fallout shelter. He's like, and then the line, I'm getting chills. Judgment Day is inevitable. You cannot stop it.
Yeah.
And that right there, that line, and then the fact that you actually show the fucking nukes fly.
Like landing in different spots across America.
Outside of the mist, it may be one of the more bleak endings in the history of film, man. That's just, and the balls to deceive not just them, but the audience.
Yeah.
Because you all think the same thing. It's like, oh, cool, we're doing this again. We're going to go find the computer, shut it down. But just that line, Judgment Day is inevitable, I think is the perfect thing, because it's like that should make sense. Like in this, almost in the same way that there's really no way for Skynet to kill John and stop John, there's no way to stop Skynet. Like, it's going to fucking happen.
It goes both ways.
Yeah, exactly. And that gets into the whole realm of like maybe destiny or fate or whatever. But that because T2 does end in a way where it's like, I think most people could assume walking away from T2, they've stopped Skynet. The Judgment Day will never happen.
Yeah.
The world's going to tick on as it ever does.
Mm-hmm.
And I get the appeal of that, but the whole premise of this franchise is that doesn't exist, man. Like, we are going to fucking allow Skynet, let it off the fucking hook, and it's going to destroy everything.
Yeah.
And so to play that as a deception on us and on John, and then for him to have that line, and then to see the fucking nukes flying, and then you leave the movie there where it's like, because it also makes it a perfect circle too, where now it's like Judgment Day has now happened, so now you can cycle back to those early scenes in Terminator 1 where you see Kyle in the future fighting, and he's got like, he loses the picture in the fire of Sarah Connor that gets taken at the end of the movie. There's this whole circular thing where it's like, because when Terminator 2 ends, if it's just the 1 and 2, well, then how does Kyle Reese happen if you just stopped? Again, thinking about time the way we did back in the day. I know that nowadays Flash and all the Marvel stuff, there's all these people that are trying to redefine time travel,
trying to redefine Terminator 2 and Back to the Future are the two big ones that always stick with me.
But if you go back to that one where it's just it's a loop and or whatever, then if you ended it there, then Kyle doesn't come through, then John doesn't get born, Sarah stays a waitress, like it just, the whole thing kind of crumbles. Like, you need it to have, so for them to come in and have the fucking balls in the studio to allow it to just be like, yeah, at the end of this, dude, we're fucking destroying the planet.
Which I think is a large part of why Terminator 3 was not received well, is that it undid Terminator 2's ending.
Yeah.
For a lot of people.
And I can see where some people would say it's not the same quality as 1 or 2, and I could even grant that. But I would say that if nothing else,
that's not the question here. The question
the
question that we're asking, and this is the question that everyone needs to remember, is that it's not a question of whether or not 3 is better than 1 or 2.
No.
The question is simply is that, should it exist, and does it belong in the trilogy of 1, 2, and 3? Are they a complete trilogy with that, and does it deserve to exist?
Yeah.
And so with that, you have one more thing you want to say?
I was just going to say, so even quality-wise, if there's a little bit of a step down, you've still got a movie that has to exist to keep the whole thing tied together. Mm-hmm. After that, I think it gets way more off the rails. But 1, 2, and 3, especially when you add those things in, Arnold does a good job in it too. Yes, it isn't as good as 1 or whatever. The TX is good. And then, but yeah, you add all those things together, I think Terminator 3 absolutely not only should exist, but it should be, you should watch it every time. Like when you're watching these, watch 1, 2, and 3, because I don't know, it's a banger of a movie, even if it's not the same. It's not a James Cameron movie. I think that's the ultimate thing. Is it fair to judge that movie because Jim Cameron wasn't directing the film? And I don't know if it is. So yeah, that's always been, and I even had it on, because you had it on your closing arguments.
That's a closing arguments that I've had since like episode 2.
Because I actually have Terminator 3 on our actual full-on show topic, and it was about this whole conversation. I thought maybe it could stretch out further if we wanted it to, but ultimately, I'm glad that we got to this because ultimately
it's just a question of is it worth? Should they have made it?
Yeah,
that's what it comes down to, and simply the thing for me.
You're such a good lawyer that by tomorrow morning you're going to be working in Alaska.
Which I will say, the simple thing comes down to is that the ending of Terminator 3 justifies the movie being made.
Yeah,
and
that
if you had not gotten there, I would have given you a loss here. But that is what I decided when I first wrote down this closing argument: is if he doesn't talk about the ending of that film. Because the ending of that film, my jaw hit the floor.
Yeah, and that's the...
Oh, my God, it's a bunker. Judgment Day is happening?
and it's,
what the fuck?
And it's inevitable. I love that line. Judgment Day is inevitable.
I don't remember that line. I love that you said it. Because dude, I got chills when you said it. Because it is.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that's great about this series is that with 1, 2, and 3 together, you get that full circle like you're talking about and everything. And if you had not mentioned that, that's what I was going to fail you on. It's like that ending for Terminator 3 is the reason why it belongs.
And ultimately, that's the main course of my argument.
Yeah.
The rest of it, as I was building up to that, was just the side dishes.
Here's the appetizer. Here's the palate cleanser. Let's
build up to that. And like I said, honestly, I think it goes next to The Mist is the only other one that comes. Like The Mist is the number one of endings of all time. But I think that low key, Terminator 3 is kind of in that same vein, man. You get the audience in there, and then you just punch him in the face where it's like, hey, man, this shit's gonna go off no matter what. So yeah, love Terminator 3 as well. But yeah,
so that is officially a closing argument for you.
This is a great trilogy too.
It's great.
I don't think people put it because nobody views it as a trilogy.
Yeah.
For the longest time, it was the 2 movies. Then by the time the 3rd movie came out, I don't know. I don't think people.
Well, then shortly after that, we got Salvation, and then we got into the other ones.
But it's like you have the Hobbit movies, but you don't then stop talking about the Lord of the Rings trilogy just because the Hobbit movies exist. So it's
the Hobbits are a trilogy of themselves.
I think with this one, we should just view this as a trilogy unit, and the rest of them.
We actually talked about it a little bit the other day with Mission Impossible versus James Bond, and that's going to go on our topic of discussion.
Yeah.
Is that I said that Skyfall, Spectre, and No Time to Die are probably 3 of the greatest. Is one of the greatest trilogies, and I realized that we can do that with James Bond, with Mission Impossible, with Terminator. We can
Star Wars
go in there with and we do that already with Star Wars.
Well, with the spin-offs, there could be people that could argue Star Wars isn't trilogies anymore.
No.
You've got a series of 10-something movies now? Or 11? 11 movies now?
Yeah.
No, 12 if you count the Clone Wars movie that came out in theaters.
True. It did.
So,
it did. It counts.
Yeah, so you got 12 movies. There could be people that could argue, that's not really trilogies. That's a whole that's the same saga as James Bond. But no, you're right. I think you could always pick out. Now, I think there could be people that could be very deceptive in that if you allow them. You know what I mean? Like if they're just someone this is a complete made up because I haven't seen these movies. But if someone's like, Fast and the Furious 6, 7, and 8 are like a perfect trilogy.
Right.
Are they really cohesively story wise a trilogy, or are you just cutting 3 movies out? Because
see, that's my argument with Skyfall, Spectre, and No Time to Die is that they are cohesively a great trilogy.
Those work together, yeah.
And that's what I'm saying is that Terminator 1, 2, and 3 belongs in that conversation where people don't consider it a trilogy, but it should be in the topic of best trilogies of all time. I know people. Yeah. I challenge anyone who says Terminator 3 is a worthless movie.
That's a good topic.
Best trilogies of all time.
Top 10 trilogies of all time.
Oh fuck that! That's hard. Ooh. But see, and I would be very loose with what defines a trilogy. I think it's 3 movies that tell a cohesive story. The 3 Halloween movies here.
The new ones. That's a trilogy.
That's a trilogy.
I don't think anybody would debate that. So, an interesting one would be Scream.
Where's the trilogy?
Where do you count that?
1, 2, and 3?
Because they're actually coming out with another one. So there's 2 trilogies with one in the middle.
1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7.
Mm-hmm. That's
okay.
what it's looking like.
Okay.
So
okay. Well, that's it for the main topic. That's all the questions I had for Ted. I hope everyone liked this interview kind of style.
And
it's not something we're going to do very often, but it is something we're going to bust out when someone is very passionate about the subject.
And there's some things as well. Came up with this idea in the last couple of weeks where we thought about it, where it's at this point now, we don't know. There's going to be topics that one of us is super passionate and the other one isn't. There's going to be no way to cover that unless we either expose the other person to it, which sometimes
Is going
a
to happen.
process, and it will
Harry
happen.
Potter.
Harry Potter, that kind of thing.
I can't have you just interview me about Harry Potter without knowing nothing about it.
No, I could do an interview with you on Harry Potter or like Buffy or something like that if you want. Because again, I don't know. I mean, Harry Potter.
Buffy, yes. Harry Potter, no. You're watching Harry Potter, you motherfucker. You are not weaseling out of this. I will not allow it. I will give you a loss.
My barber still harasses me almost weekly
As she should.
about the fact that I haven't seen
You
Harry Potter.
owed them. They're right there.
Yeah, they've actually been watched a few times too. My niece,
But not
borrowed
by
them.
you. God.
At this point now, we probably should do like look into maybe some reaction video type stuff.
It would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I won't lie.
So I did add top 10 trilogies to our ever-growing list of potential topics because I think
Mike likes it.
I think that would be a good one. I think we would have to be very careful about defining our terms.
Yeah.
Though, with that, because honestly, just straight trilogies that nobody would debate, there's easily 20.
Because see, I'm sorry. Can you say Toy Story?
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3?
Yeah.
But there's 4. And soon to be a 5th.
Aliens is a great trilogy.
That's
Predator 1, 2, and 3. Predators with Adrian Brody, The Hunting Planet.
Oh, okay.
There's yeah.
I was thinking of Prey, but yeah.
Prey's pretty
All
great,
right.
but unfortunately it's not.
We are
cohesive.
15 minutes over time. We need to wrap up.
Yeah, we did spend some time debating Jedi stuff.
Okay, let me say, guys.
It'll happen again.
I know it came across like we were very hostile with each other. I still love this man with all my heart. He's my best friend in the whole
I think
world.
didn't we give the warning already?
We warned this earlier on, but if someone's coming in and hasn't heard that warning, we get hot like that. It is nothing personal. I'm still going to talk with this guy afterwards, just like we have been for the last hour. We're still best friends and everything, so don't worry about us.
Yeah.
All right?
Hopefully we don't have to give those warnings out. Hopefully everyone will just understand that's just par for the course. But
Passion.
Exactly. If you're not passionate about it, like, are you really geeky about it? Like, if you're just like, I kind of like those movies, like, I don't know if you'd say you.
How do you talk about it?
Yeah,
then?
it's
like,
just like,
what are you doing
like,
here?
oh yeah, I saw those one time. They're all right, and that's it. It's like,
all right, on to our next topic.
That's not us. We're not those kind of
Tad
people.
being Tad, and Peter reacts.
Peter pulls his hair out.
What hair? I'm losing my hair now.
All right, but yeah, that we'll do it. We do have one more slide though.
Okay.
Because we got to announce next episode. I don't know if you've looked ahead.
I don't know.
So
How would I look ahead? I don't have the slideshow.
No, you had I did put it in our sheet, but if you were on a different tab.
No, I didn't.
So next episode, we are doing emails first. If you want to email either of us, if you want to tell Peter what you think on Anakin being the greatest Jedi, or me, either way, either Peter at geekeryabides.com or Tad at geekeryabides.com. Tad is TADD. And then next time, in a fortnight from now, for episode 13, Lucky 13, we are going to be talking Superman and Batman.
Uh-oh.
Not, and this isn't a debate. What I want to talk about is let's bring both of our fandoms together. Okay. We've also talked about the idea of like, how the fuck are you a Batman fan and I'm a Superman fan with our personalities.
Okay.
But also,
so we're not debating anything.
No, not a debate. I didn't put versus. I almost had it as Superman versus Batman as just kind of a whatever. Yeah. But I was like, I don't want to, because I don't even want the misunderstanding that this is a debate. It's not. Okay. I just want to let's get I'll put all my Superman stuff together. You get all your Batman stuff together, and let's just talk.
That's a lot of stuff.
Let's just talk Superman, Batman.
You want me to bring all my Batman stuff?
Being a fan. What are the movies like? What's your interpretation of Batman fandom? Superman, and then we'll also get at the root of it all. How the fuck is good little scout boy Pete?
Carol asked origin stories.
No. How did the little Boy Scout Peter end up a Batman fan? Where Tad,
the evil, sadistic monster, end up a Superman fan.
Superman fan. It doesn't seem to make any sense.
True justice in the American way.
But also that we'll talk about our origin, like where why does Batman appeal to you? Why does Superman appeal to me? We'll talk about those things. We've already touched a little bit on them with our fandoms. Yep. But I just wanted to
let's go in depth.
Let's get our Superman and Batman toys together and come together and talk about Batman and Superman without any kind of debate. All right, we will see you guys in a fortnight. We will sign off.
As we always do.
Get the did I forget to record the audio?
Did you really?
I can extract.
Oh, Tad.
Yeah, I think I did.
Oh, no.
I think I've done that once before, but
I'm going to have to start reminding you, sir, right before
that's-
we go live.
hey, it's happened twice in
Yeah,
since
because you stopped the recording from the other podcast.
and I
We have a little bit of a
saved
break.
that one,
And then
but I think I forgot to open
forgot.
it. I was about to end that one. But either way, we'll sign off as we always do by saying, let your geek flags fly high, love what you love, and to hell with anyone that has any issue with that.
Yeah.
And we'll see you in a fortnight for Superman and Batman.
I'm Batman.
See you guys.